What was that?
What was it me?
All right, buddy, we're live. It's the Thursday. What is this? The Thursday night forum. Yeah, that's what it
What?
is.
Well, it's
We're
the
beginning
end of season show, isn't it? I suppose.
this. Yeah, end of season. The season has wrapped up, and a couple of things I want to say. Trust the process. Well, he was right all along. Mikel Arteta was right all along. Trust the process. In any project, it takes money to be injected into the project. So let's have it right there. You can have all the money in the world, but you got to do the right things and spend the right money in the right places. And the phases. What phase are we in now? Well, it all worked out at the end of this season. Finally, Mikel Arteta's bookended his time at Arsenal with a Premier League title and the FA Cup, as we know, starting out. So that's not a bad way to start off the show, I suppose. Uh, Not the Champions League final result notwithstanding. Stan, what are your thoughts on the last 7 days, or the last 7 months, or the last 700 days, whatever you want to say?
Yeah. Good evening, Ray. Good evening, Lonnie. Good evening to those that I'm sure will hopefully join us fairly soon, and those listening on
The
playback. It's the, I suppose you call it the end of season show, right? The season's over, even though there's going to be World Cup and stuff. But for Arsenal, that's it now. The dominoes have all fallen. And for me, I would say, okay, so right now, the team that I support in football are the best team in England, and they're the second best team in Europe. And I'll think to myself, you know what? I'll take that. Thank you very much. That's not a bad. That's not a bad place to be in, right?
no,
There's only one further spot you can go from there, and that's to maintain what you're doing in England, but you know, become the best in Europe. And under Mikel Arteta, when it comes to being in Europe, every year that we've been back in Europe under him, every year's been progression. And getting to the final, last year we got knocked out in the semi-finals, yeah. Before that, it was a quarter. It's always been every year we've gone to the next stage. We got to the next stage. We got to the final. So now, what I'm looking for is that we do the same next season and we get to a final, but this time we win it, and that will be progression. I was just glad to be there, really glad to be there, especially when you've got the Premier League already in the bag. And as I always say, and I've said it many many times in this broadcast, that I understand that over the course of a season, I'm going to see my team lose games. I get that, but for me, it's always about the manner of the loss. And the manner of the loss against PSG in the final, you know, I felt quite proud of the boys. And we're going to get into the game and reasons why, and tactics and all of that a bit later. But overall, coming out of that, I did feel quite proud of of them getting to that stage and managing to take a team like PSG, who everyone thought it was just going to be like loads of goals. That the only goal that they managed to score was through a penalty. Couldn't get one in open play, even with extra time. And we managed to take them. We managed to take them all the way. So, yeah, I don't want to go too much into it until we get more into it. But overall, looking back at the season, what a good sport, very good.
yeah, yeah.
Looking forward to it.
We're gonna unpack some of the things Stan said throughout the show. Stephen, welcome. Arsenal Misfit. Hey, gents.
Hi,
You're not
Stephen.
late. You're on time. I don't go by the 15 minutes early on is on time or whatever. I don't know. I just turn up. Just turn up. And thanks for being here, Stephen. We'll get into the nuts and bolts, but Alonso, take it away. Your thoughts on the season?
Yeah, I mean, when your schedule got released, what was it, last May or June, what have you, maybe July it was, that, you know, rival fans were kind of like, well, Arsenal have a tough road against them because they had a stronger schedule to start the year off.
Yep.
And we're doing all right with that. And I think that kind of prepared us for the year to come. And there's some good takeaways to come from that. I think that whenever you have a lot of clean sheets, you had a lot of defensive records that I think Brian should be proud of. Um, yeah, I was very exciting towards the end to see how it played out, how it'll play out. And, I think back to the fan, drinking that bottle of water, Arsenal bottle of water at Manchester City, and
Yeah,
then Manchester City getting the lead, like maybe like within a day or so, and then we going back to the league, winning, eventually winning the league. There was some, in my opinion, I was kind of worried there because you've seen it far too often. And this year, it was just relief that we could do it. Actually, Arsenal came in the league, and it wasn't pretty at times. We even questioned the gaffer at times as well because could we sustain those 1-0 wins throughout the season? And they did, and it was that remarkable fashion that it brings me back to the famous 1-0 to Arsenal at times.
yeah,
But we got a striker in. He was productive. Kai Havertz was productive coming back from injury. So all these questions throughout the year were answered, and we even had players come in, play new positions, or learning new positions rather, in Miles Lewis Skelly. And all in all, it was a great season. Um, to see Arsenal as a younger supporter, when lift that trophy was just pure magic to me. I've been a fan since 2008-9 season, so lifting a trophy was something new to me that I've never experienced before.
yeah,
So it was a thrill. Really was something special and something that you could be proud of. And to me, I was in a break room at work on that Tuesday when the City drew against Bournemouth. I was like, I couldn't stop screaming. I was just so excited because we had won a league at the current second 2 years in a row, right? 3 years in a row, rather.
yeah, yeah.
So it was a good day that Tuesday. It was.
Yeah, listen, there's a good mix of us on this podcast here. There's some of us like Stan and I who've seen Arsenal win trophies, win league championships, win Premier Leagues before, and we recognize the joy in Alonso's voice there, Stan, from a first time experiencing Arsenal winning the league after 22 years, and maybe Gary definitely is one along those lines as well. On the
Question
fan.
I've got for Alonso is, how did it feel like you've just found out that Arsenal won the league? But usually, to get that news delivered, you would think you would be in front of a television and watching the game play out. Do you know what I'm getting at? A final whistle
Yeah.
go, and
Yeah.
knowing that score, we've won the league. Because the game that we played previously against Burnley on the Monday, when we won the game, but nobody leaving that game thought, well, that's it, we've won the league. It wasn't until we had to watch this game or hear results. Like you say, you was at work in the break room. I was at work with a tab open. Not everybody was in front of a TV. Did it feel a bit weird finding out that we were champions, but being in your normal life, not in front of a TV?
I mean,
You know what I mean?
oddly enough, I did see the game on that Monday because I had a day off. But like you said, like there was no sense of we won the league that day. You had to find out until that Tuesday, watching someone else tie or draw
Yeah.
against a very good Bournemouth side. You had no idea. And funny about it, Stan and Ray, is that when Bournemouth gave that goal late, I was like, oh crap, here we go again, man. They're always finding a freaking way to win a
Find
game,
the way.
right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until it was like the referee blew the whistle that this excitement just came over me, man. Like it was like almost as if it was pure emotion, and it was. But to finally see it live on Sunday at Crystal Palace was pretty cool as well. So to answer your question, Stan, I mean, I had to hold my celebration until I saw the other team draw because they always find a way, man. Right? They always find a way to win a game,
Good
and
teams find a way.
yeah. So it was just like, wow, man. It
Yeah.
was just I was like, man, I wish I taken this day off. I should have taken that Tuesday off too. It
Yeah.
was like, how could you
Yes.
go? How could you go to work after? How could you go back to work after that? It's like, God, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, good teams find a way to win. Man City are a good team. They find some ways to win some games or draw some games, as in against Everton. But guess what? We frustrated Manchester City fans way more than they frustrated that team frustrated us this season. You know, after the week 5 or week 6, we had a lead. We were leading in the league, and Stan had mentioned it many times in the last couple of months leading up to the Carling the Carabao Cup final, that so important to the Premier League title this season, above all, to rubber stamp all of the work that Mikel Arteta has done the last 3 or 4 seasons. As Alonso mentioned, twice against Manchester City, we had the lead. Twice they pegged us back. The first time we were a very naive team playing some great football. Second time a little bit more. We had a little bit more about us, but we just lost by 2 points on the last day of the season. And injury hit season last season, but still maintaining a second place. And I was frustrated last year that we didn't do anything in that January window. But the club told us at the time that they were going to put everything into the summer transfer window, and they did put a lot of resources into the summer transfer window. And Stan, they gave Mikel Arteta the tools. It's debatable. He still got us over the line, right? But we had the tools to fill in the gaps in some of the big gaps that we had in the squad.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the key reasons that we did manage to get over the line is because the squad was bigger, and Mikel Arteta had an opportunity to widen his circle of trust.
Yes,
And in a lot of cases,
widely.
it's been in a lot of cases he's been forced to because there have been key players that have had extended periods out, and he's had to do other things, right? Or there's
Yeah,
players that have literally been, as Arsene Wenger would say, running in the red, playing in the red, like a Martin Zubimendi. I mean, you know, just looking at the starting lineup for this for the game against PSG, when you saw the starting lineup, did you have any surprises? Was you surprised,
yeah.
for example, that Miles Lewis Skelly was starting ahead of Zubimendi, or did you think that would happen?
Uh, I was very surprised that he went with Miles Lewis Skelly. I thought he would stick with Subamendi. So that showed a little
Me
bit of
too.
growth in him. I have to watch the game back a little bit. I thought Miles Lewis Skelly was a little bit out of his depth, and or I would have to look it back. I'm happy to debate
But
that
in a good
point.
game.
Hincapi, Hincapi, I thought would be the choice at left back, a better defender against one of their wingers, and Mascara. I had trust in Mascara, but we'll get into it. We saw in those first 15 minutes of the second half how
Was
difficult it
there was
was.
there any surprise for anyone seeing Havertz starting ahead of
Um,
Gyökeres?
no, I
I wasn't.
go Alonso, go.
I was surprised, but he would pay it forward in the game. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Havertz. I was surprised Havertz started, but Arteta's got kind of guy that picks players in these games that he doesn't want to switch lineups in Champions League that he's used in the knockout stages, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I wish Timber were healthier. I think Mascara also was out of his depth at some points of the game. Um, but other than that, I kind of think that the Eze Udegaard debate, I think would have ha- I would have preferred Eze starting over Udegaard, um, and Martinelli over Trossard. But
Okay, big shot.
you know, I think. had in the past now, but I think Arteta's lineup would have been it was different. I was expecting some players to start over some other players, but anyway, I was okay with Miles Lewis-Skelly starting over Zubimendi
Yeah.
based on Miles Lewis-Skelly's performances over Atletico Madrid. Um,
Yeah.
but that's decisions Arteta has to live with.
Yeah. And with regards to Havertz and Gyökeres, I feel like, and this might go into next season as well. I feel like we have two forward players, two strikers that have very. They don't have similar qualities, but they have similar output in terms of what they're going to give you. Goals and assists, I believe, both will give you a similar amount of output, but Havertz is going to be picked for certain games, and Joker is going to be picked for certain games. And I can be convinced to say that I'm happy enough with that situation, given that Mikel Arteta will pick the right player in the right circumstance, which I thought he did quite well this season with Havertz and Jokeres.
Yeah, and I think had um, it not been for injury, Havertz would have had a lot more starts, obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
Which would have shortened minutes for Gyökeres, and maybe his goal tally wouldn't have been so high because the time would have been shared out more.
yeah.
You know?
So I think a little bit later in the podcast we could round out the show with thinking about what kind of areas we need to strengthen on the field, and if that would be a striker, in our opinion. You know what I mean? So let's not go there just yet, but let's think about that and what areas, like, if we're going to look at three or four top quality, as Arsene Wenger would say, super quality players. Steven said here, the thing I'm most happy with is that we won the title without the help of 115 charges, and we
Hmm.
chased Pep Guardiola out of the league. And so I have a feeling Pep Guardiola has left the league because he might have an inkling that the decision is going to come down. And what better time would it be for the Premier League to announce the decision and the charges whilst the World Cup is going on in the foreground, and those things would get dropped. Right? What do you think, Alonso? Do you think the news will drop whilst the World Cup is going on?
Apparently, those counts have been already have been leaked. However, I haven't read them or haven't seen them.
Yeah,
However, I bet you anything that Manchester City is going to try to
appeal.
yeah, right, appeal those charges.
Okay.
And of course, the appeal is going to give in, and then you're going to get a slap in the wrist per usual, and that's all she wrote. That's what I think, because that's what usually happens with them.
Yeah.
However, my suspicion is that they'll get points deducted, hopefully get sent down to maybe League Two, and
Right.
start from there. That's the best possible situation.
Yeah.
And then Pep's leaving because he knows it's going to happen. Um, because there's always talks about Erling Haaland going to Real Madrid, Roger going to Real Madrid. There's a lot of people who might be leaving on that suspicion, right?
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to see when all that comes out. And if it does come out during the World Cup, then it's a shame that it has to even do that because it should have been out this week as soon as it should have. So that being said, it'd be interesting to see if the players want to leave as well, knowing that they want to stick around for the repercussions of those wrongdoing.
Charge.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I've always been an opinion about Pep Guardiola, as our friend Tom says, the bald fraud, because ever he's been right, he's had an abundance of cash to spend
Yeah.
on players,
Yeah.
where he hasn't really coached a forum type of team like a Valencia, like a Schalke, in Germany, right? Cameron had a coach at Como in Italy. So a lot of things he's done has kind of rubbed me the wrong way as far as the way he's dealt with things, his antics, right? So to me, I'd be gladly to see them go off the sunset in the other league or what have you, or get their points deducted or whatever happens. I hope it's a harsh punishment.
Yeah. And we'll take a look at the landscape of the Premier League a little bit later, the landscape of Europe a little bit later as well. You know what I mean? Stephen goes on to say about the Champions League final. We'll dive into the Champions League final now, and then we'll come back to the general landscape of Arsenal in England and in Europe. Stephen said it was a good season, but frustrating at times with the way we played. The Champions League final was heartbreaking, but we had seen what happened in the losses to Liverpool, Villa, United, Bournemouth, and City before. And listen, there's an argument that I will have. The argument that I will have is that we were consistent. We were quite consistent throughout the Premier League. We won the Premier League, but we didn't. What we used to do in previous seasons is we would beat the better teams and drop points to the lesser teams. We kind of flipped the script this season. We dropped points against a lot of the bigger teams, but we were consistent, um, mid-table down, and that's what wins you the league as well. You're rewarded. You're Premier League champions because of the consistency that you show throughout the Premier League season. Now we'll go to the Champions League final. We talked about the lineups. I was generally happy with the lineups and surprised myself with Miles Lewis Skelly, as I say, but I felt it was a decent lineup, and Havertz or Jokeres was always going to be an option. Something to think about, and something that I did think about throughout the game was you 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 have to also look at the players that are on the substitutes bench because you know you're going to have to use those players at some point as well. And whilst they weren't a bunch of kids that we had last season in the semifinal, um, I feel like we missed we missed the boat a little bit in the second half when we needed to have those options. So Stan, generally the lineup and your substitute bench comments on that.
Yeah, I was to see the starting lineup. I was pleased because if you remember on the show before, I was having a bit of a panic attack that perhaps he was going to do something like put a Zubamendi in at right back instead of a Mosquera.
Yeah,
Even though Mosquera isn't a right back, he's a centre back. He has played there, and when he's played there for us, he hasn't looked too out of place. So I was pleased that he went with that. So, he couldn't have chosen anybody else. Wasn't really available, right? Timber was on the bench. So I was pleased with the lineup and, surprised to see Miles Lewis Skelly in there. But I actually thought to myself, well, he must have seen something, the way that he has been playing in training. And we'd all been saying, hadn't we, that Zubamendi's looked really tired and off it and has made some mistakes. So he rolled the dice in that one. And I thought Miles Lewis Skelly did have a good game. And I thought that he would start with Havertz over Gyökeres. I think that Havertz is a big game player. He's played in finals and scored in them.
yeah,
And you could see that when Havertz became available, that the manager wanted to use him. I think that Kai Havertz is someone that the manager really likes.
yeah.
So it didn't surprise me. And
One
it
of
was
his
proven,
favorite crayons.
Yeah,
and it was, but it was proven right, wasn't it? Because, I mean, scoring a goal in the first 6 minutes of the game. I mean, who had that down on their card? I didn't. I'm sat there on the sofa watching it. And, it was such a tight angle. I thought to myself, has he taken one touch too many here?
yeah,
And that's going to hit like the side netting. And he managed to, I mean, players are good at different things, right? But Victor Gyökeres, I don't think he's scoring that kind of a goal. So I thought to myself, well, this is good. But then obviously now you're thinking to yourself, well, we've scored so early. We have to score a second one to put this out of sight, or else we're on a knife edge here.
yeah,
We're on a knife edge scoring so early. Where do we go from here? And I know that people have been looking at the stats and saying about, you know, the lack of passes or the lack of possession, but I would round it all off by saying that the way that we played that game against Paris Saint-Germain, who had that basketball of match of a game with Bayern Munich 5-4, and then who everyone going into this game was saying that they're going to score loads of goals and basically that we're going to get overrun. You know, like when they when they won it last year, 5-1.
5-0, I think, Inter.
Yeah, 5-0. I thought it was 5-1. Sorry, but okay, 5 goals. I actually think that the way that we played that game, I think that we played the best that team could play with what they had available. The problem is what we have available, especially in the attacking part of the team, just isn't good enough.
Yes.
It's just lacking. But
I will agree
with
with
what we do have, I thought that everybody, you know, tried to do their bit. I don't, you know, we managed to take Paris Saint-Germain down to penalties.
all the way.
Do you remember my prediction going into? I said it on a couple of shows. I said it wouldn't surprise me when people. I used to talk to people about the final. I said it on here. I said it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal somehow managed to strangle this game through to extra time and penalties, and David Raya saves 2 penalties. Do you remember me saying that? So when I was watching that game unfold and we got to penalties, I was thinking, here we go. And when David Raya saved that first penalty, my eyes were wide open. I was thinking, like, you're fucking joking. You're joking. It's not gonna go down like that, is it? It's fucking happening. And I was texting my brother back and forth. My youngest brother, half brother, he's half French. He lives in Paris. He's a Paris Saint-Germain supporter, bona fide, right?
Really?
And so we were texting each other throughout that game, and he was saying this is definitely the best 2 teams in Europe, and he also said this is like a game of chess.
Yeah.
And you know, we managed to nullify Paris Saint-Germain. We didn't allow them to play their usual game. They were only able to score a goal through a penalty. And I thought as well that when it got to extra time, and especially the second part of extra time, they had no answers. They really looked like they were out of ideas. They were kicking the ball to the side. They really didn't. They might have had a lot of possession, but they weren't doing anything. They wanted it to go to penalties. They just had nothing else. And so to go out on penalties, you know, it's you know, and Gabriel as well. You know, it's always horrible when it's one. I don't like to have favourites, but Gabriel Megalegs is one of my favourite players in this squad. You know, I have taken a shine to him. So hold on, Tony. So when I saw, hold on. So when I saw him stepping up, it really took me back to 1980, because in 1980, when I was like 11 years old, in the European Cup Winners' Cup against Valencia, it went down to penalties. And again, the last penalty at the time, it was my favourite player, number 11, Graham Ricks.
Yeah.
He went up for the penalty, and Mario Kempes saved the penalty. It took me right back, because when Megaleg stepped up, I was like, oh no, because I just didn't feel confident. You know, when a defender is stepping up to take a penalty, and it was my favourite guy. I literally walked to the back of the room in the lounge, went behind like this pillar. I don't know who he was hiding from. I was trying to hide for some reason. I don't know why. I got out and walked like a corner. I was trying to really like that meme of Homer Simpson when he walked back through the bushes.
Yeah.
I was maybe doing something in that vein, because I was
So that's the Southampton.
And then when he didn't score it, I was like, of course he weren't going to score it. It's like Graham Ricks all over again.
That is the Southampton meme. It's going back into the bushes, but with binoculars. Listen, I was going to get to Alonso, but Alonso, hold your thoughts for a second, because Tony did have a point to counter to Stan. Right, Tony?
Here we go.
Which point? Which part of?
The one where you started to say something.
We don't know what point you had, Tony.
We can't help you with that, Tony.
Every
Come on,
time.
Tony. Fucking hell. Got 2 balls
Um,
playing, none of them are crystal.
There is more than one. One.
Yeah, obviously. There's always
Let's
more
be
than one.
having you. Let's be having you, Tony. Come on.
One of it is obviously the you sit there 5 to 10 years ago, that would have been a handball ball,
All right, the
and
Trossard rebound. Yeah.
that would have been a kick.
All right, but let's stay from the rules of the game as they are
Havertz
right
wouldn't go
now.
go on that, and Havertz can score that kind, or just Bucharest can score that type of goal. He's done it. He's
Listen,
scored more goals than any attacker under Arteta. And the system does not fit him. They don't have a wingers for him. They don't play the ball onto him. Even though he leads the league in runs, the ball doesn't go to him. And how many chances at attack did we have after that first shot? Zero.
Not many. Not
Can I
many.
just
Pretty
answer that?
much
Can I
nothing.
answer that? Let me answer
And
that.
do you know who looked the most likely to score? Gabriel did, because he was staying in the box for 5 minutes at a time, many times in the last 30 minutes.
Kai Havertz was the only other player who did have a good opportunity to score a second goal coming up to
And he
the end of
didn't.
the first half. But he didn't as well.
And he did.
Yeah. Listen, they're all
Can I
professional
answer that?
footballers.
I want to
Yeah,
answer
go.
that.
Stan. Yeah.
First of all, when I say that Gyökeres isn't scoring that goal, that's not a slight on Gyökeres. That just means that different players are good at doing different things. But you said that Gyökeres has scored goals like that. Which match was that? Remind me.
But he
Some
has
in the
scored.
Champions League.
You said that he has scored goals like that. I don't remember it, but which one was that?
Not
What
from
one
a
you talking
tight.
about?
I would say not from a tight angle like that, but he has scored some good goals.
I only
this
said he
season.
has. I just wondered what one. I don't remember it.
Wow.
A little
Different players,
further,
different things.
Let's analyze that.
Further out.
Let's-
A little further out.
Yeah, against Tottenham and teams like that. One Inter Milan as well, wasn't it? That he scored a great
Yeah,
goal.
that's the one I was
Inter Milan.
think of as
Well,
the Inter Milan.
Bro, listen, happy. Gyökeres has not been a flop this season. He's been very good, and he got stronger as the season went on. Now, we'll have a discussion a little bit later. We need Gyökeres to score more goals again next season. Alonso, I'm going to come to you because you've been patiently waiting. So, just give us your overview of the whole game from the first Kai Havertz goal right through to the end, Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, at first, whenever Kai Havertz scored that first goal, I was like, all right, cool, this is great. Great momentum. We could, have a tight grip on them. But, we didn't go for it enough. To me, it's happened far too often where we get in these matches, these big games, right? And we score a goal, and that's it, right? We're too busy trying to track back defense, intercept the ball, and etc. And I don't know what Arteta's telling the guys to do, but at some point you had to have at least a goal to go against PSG and not be afraid to go after it. I thought that we were lined up to win the game. I kind of thought that Odegaard would be more. Excuse me, Saka and Odegaard would have been more of a difference. They didn't, and that's concerning. At least for me, because Saka could have done a lot more. Crossing, dribbling inside the box, making things happen. He didn't. He needed Odegaard, and those are your two key players that drives the ball into the box. And it was frustrating because we thought that they could have. We kind of hoped that they could have done more. Because Hakimi, to me, is not a good defender. he's great going forward.
Yeah,
And yeah, anyway, my point being is he could have done a lot more with the lineup we had. Same with Trossard. He could have done a lot more and be
yeah,
more offensive than what he was. And I think that's what hurt the strikers, whether it be Havertz or Eucharist, because we know they could score. And to me, you didn't have enough force to defend the ball more than you should have. And to be fair, the refereeing in that game was so bad. And I'm sure we get into that later, but I think the substitutions they came on strong. And my hope, I looked at the lineup and thought that we had a good bench. We had the better bench than they did,
yeah,
and we could have won when they came on. I thought they could have won us the game, and the referee had a big part in that second half,
he did.
and we'll find out why eventually. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I thought once our subs came in, they would have made it different, and they
Yeah,
would have won that game. And they would have won us the game.
yeah. Listen, my take on the game. Kai Havertz has been on this stage before, won the Champions League for Chelsea, so was comfortable in the setting. And when we got the opportunity, which was
Hmm.
a breakdown defensively, I think it was Marquinhos tried to clear it. Trossard rebounded off Trossard. Three touches from Kai Havertz. I had the exact same emotions. I think that Stan has articulated. Has he gone too wide? We've seen this before. Kai Havertz either drags it wide, low, to the far side and goes wide, or he hits the side netting. Well, a brilliant finish and a very, very well controlled finish. The goalkeeper, who I thought was very poor, and we didn't test him enough, um, went low, as most goalkeepers will try to do. And you're sort of saying to yourself, well, it's going to be a quality strike if you hit that top, if you hit that top corner of the net. It's going to be a quality strike, and here it was, quality strike. uh, we've been here before, 20 years ago. Sol Campbell went to Arsenal, went a goal up with Sol Campbell, and we couldn't hold out. So I wasn't getting too excited at 1-0 because I still had those emotions of 20 years ago. And as Stan and Alonso said, one goal is never enough against a team like PSG. Now, the question, I guess the big question that we have to answer tonight is the comments that are coming in here, which are very clear, right? As Steven said, the passing stat part way into the second half shocked me. 45 completed passes for us and 222 for them. That put me in panic mode, and didn't get any better for the rest of the game, says Steven. So my take on that, Alonso, is that good teams will find a way to settle the game down and then start to get on the ball and get on top possession wise. I thought we controlled most of the first half pretty well, but PSG then came out with a different mindset in the second half. And the alarm bells were ringing very, very loud for me, in from the 45th to the 55th minute for me. Stephen goes on to say, Stan, I disagree about not having players that can score. In 23-24 in the last 18 games, we scored 54 goals. Had we played the same way in the first 20 games, we were on pace for 114 goals. So there's a question about this team and about this performance. And Alonso, understanding what Stan said, and we probably agree, most rival fans loved the semi-finals when PSG were playing Bayern Munich because they were watching entertainment and they wanted entertainment and they got lots of goals for their entertainment. We knew, Alonso, as Arsenal fans, that we have an outstanding defense and it was never going to be 4-3, 5-4, or even 3-2, you know? So we knew what we were going to lean on in this final, Alonso.
Yeah, and back to the PSG Bayern Munich game. They both were good offensive teams, where Atletico Madrid is a very good defensive team and counter attacking team, or as Arsenal.
Yes.
So you're either going to get one out of the two with the Champions League final with Arsenal and PSG. I want to think that we kept them at bay. I think that when we played PSG, one of the top scoring teams in the competition, we held them to essentially no goals without a penalty kick. So, to me, I look back at Mascara's penalty goal or penalty that he caused the PSG player to fall down.
Yes.
You know, who knows if Timber would have been in there, Ben White would have been in there, had it made a difference. Maybe not, maybe so, maybe not. However, if I'm Arteta, that's the problem I have with him, is that he doesn't tell the guys to go for it, and always don't stop scoring. And I know that this team can do score 5 goals as well. And why they play so scared or so timid
Well,
is something that I don't quite understand, because they just sit back and defend the
Is
whole
it
game.
respect? What didn't they respect what PSG could do? So, we set up accordingly to be competitive and stay in that game.
But
I think,
but that's how he's been set up to play, right? This has been all year. This is not just PSG,
Yeah,
and I think that's where it hurts the team, because you have these players that can score the ball. We all know they can, but they sit back every single time, and that's kind of discouraging for me and every other Arsenal fan that wants them to score more than one goal a game.
Yeah, it's a real point there, Stan. We've gotten to win the Premier League because we have set up in this defensive mode, right? That happened in Champions
no,
League.
I have to disagree a little bit, especially with what Stephen says as well, because yes, we do play on a defensive platform, and we've seen Martinelli is quite good at doing that. For someone who's a pacey winger, he does get back and help defensively. My problem is that when we are in the attacking parts of the game, you look at someone like Trossard, for example, who I thought he started the Champions League final game really well, but faded.
Yeah.
He faded in the game, okay? And you have a look at a player like Martinelli, who's only scored 1 goal in the Premier League, although it being an important one. We see that we've had this conversation even before this season on whether he'd plateaued. He's running up the wing, he's not looking up. He's missing some chances. We've seen what his flaws are. He's even been able to get himself second choice behind Trossard, who fades in games as well. Right? He's not been able to establish himself, and that's based on the attacking parts of his game. That's down to the player. And where are we when we're at the biggest game of our season, probably one of the biggest games in our history, and in a double substitution, we're taking off the captain and we're taking off the star boy. Why is that? Why is that happening? Do you know what I mean? And I actually think that the manager is actually saying, you know what, I'm not getting it from you two, for whatever reason, whether it's fitness levels, whether it's application. But what I should be, and who knows? Is there an argument where it's like, well, one of the reasons that we're not seeing Martin Odegaard, do another season with 15 goals is because he's been asked to play in a different way, which inhibits that.
Yeah.
And that's I can understand some people saying that. However, there have been moments when he's had shooting opportunities and the ball hasn't ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah.
He's the one it's his leg that connected with the ball, not Mikel Arteta's.
Yeah.
There's been opportunities when, other players have been in opportunities where they could shoot and score and it's gone wide or it's gone over. And I think that's what I'm saying is that, I think that the way that we played that game against PSG, the tactics, I think it's the best that we could have done with what we had. And it almost worked. It almost worked.
Was
I came away thinking that but what we have, especially in the attacking part, because I think our defensive back line, including the goalkeeper, and even ones that we can interchange, it's world class. The depth,
Yeah.
world class.
Yeah.
I also think that when it comes to the midfield part, it's very good as well, almost on elite of what we've got available, especially by having the Declan Rice in there as your
It's
engine.
not PSG quality yet.
It's very good, right?
Mm.
But where we are suffering the most is in that attacking trio.
Yeah.
It's not working, right? And again, I go back to saying it, right? I mean, what does that mean behind the scenes? The manager in the biggest game of our history, in a one substitution, in one move, he's taking off the club captain, and the star boy from the academy, the highest paid player at the club. Why is that? Is that a statement? Is he sending a message to those players about something? Do you see where I'm coming from? What is the meaning of that? At the same time,
Well, yeah.
when he made that substitution and he brought on Gyökeres, for that part of the game until he made his next substitution, our midfield had a hole in it.
Well, there was about 15.
We were getting like overrun a little bit in the midfield, and then he realised, and he made another change, and that favoured us.
There was about 15 minutes between those subs, Stan. There was about 15 minutes between those subs. In the 65th minute, Odegaard comes off and Gyökeres comes on in the 65th minute. And in the 81st minute, Madueke comes on for Saka. So we're getting
not at the same time. Okay.
Not at the same time, but it was in the period of the second half where we were clearly losing control of the game. In those first 20 minutes of the second half. The question I think we all have is, the first question is, are these players capable? If we open up the game of playing football, are they capable of taking the fight to PSG? You know what I mean? And that's a difficult one to answer. Like, I understand what you're saying, Stan. We needed to keep it in such a state that we could hang with PSG. Because for me, I'm looking at 25% possession is not going to win you a football game unless you can get the penalties. And I would have been fine. I would have been celebrating here with a Champions League win, but also saying this coming summer we need to improve drastically in this team. But is there enough in this team if Arteta had opened things up a little bit that we could have created some more chances?
Well, obviously the manager wasn't thinking ahead in his mind, saying I'm going to take this to penalties, because by the time we got to that situation, 3 players that you would have thought would be key players to take penalties were taken off the pitch.
Yes.
Right? Havertz take penalties. Seen Saka take penalties.
Odegaard.
The other one? Seen Odegaard take penalties.
Yeah.
Those three were no longer available. We got down to that stage. And
yeah.
Eze's penalty. I thought Eze's penalty. You said it the best when we spoke about it and message. You said it smacked of indecision, and it did. Eze's penalty did smack of indecision.
Didn't know what he was trying to do.
And Gabriel Megalegs, he decided to put himself into that situation because somebody had to take it.
Trossard would have been another player. Trossard would have been another player who could have taken the penalty.
Yeah. But there are a couple of other players that were still on the pitch. I thought, where were they? Was it something that was chosen? Did they not want to? Like a Zubimendi or a Madueke, I would have thought might have been better, candidates that you think would take a penalty lower down in maybe the picking order, but higher than a defender.
And Stephen is saying, speaking of pens, why did he pick Eze, who has a shite record taking them? Mm-hmm. The player has to be confident. First of all, the player has to volunteer and be confident to take it. Alonso, what's your take on all this stuff? I mean, uh, we're talking about how crazy would it have been if Arteta had picked a very poor lineup to start with, and then get into the second half, maybe 1-1, but then you start bringing players onto the field like Trossard, like Saka, like Odegaard, players who could take a penalty.
It's funny because I was just thinking about that whenever you guys were talking. Seems like this is part of the problem, right? Because if you remember, Udegaard came in against West Ham and assisted Trossard on that goal, right? So I think we say this because it's an outcome that we didn't want. But if you start Madueke, if you start, Martinelli, if you
Yeah.
start Eze,
Yes.
think about the defensive output as well. Could it have been where, PSG would have scored more goals? Because Stan said that Martinelli is a better defender going back,
Come
which
back.
he is. I'm not doubting that.
Yes.
But knowing that your situation would have changed had, you know, Odegaard, Saka, maybe Trossard would have came on. Because let's face it, and even Havertz, but Eucharist did score on his penalty, as did Rice, as did Martinelli.
Yes.
So like Steven has said, Eze has a bad record in PKs. So and then also Megalev scoring attempting to score on a PK also hurt as well. So
Yes.
then how come Madueke didn't take it and maybe Timber or Zubimendi? So in hindsight, I applaud at least, Megalev attempting to take the penalty because it takes a lot of
Yeah.
guts to do so. But
Acting
he was
like.
off target. Like, he was way off target, and Eze has to stop taking those stupid penalty kicks that he does because obviously he's getting saved or he's gonna miss it every single time.
Yeah.
That being said, I would have hoped at least Timber would have taken it, or at least Wendy or Madueke.
Yeah.
But it's on the past now. I mean, in hindsight, what do you
The
do in that
first,
situation?
the frustrating thing for me is that we never met those two penalties that were missed. Never met the goalkeeper
No,
saving. You know, penalties have got to be on target, and you can live. I can live with a goalkeeper making a fantastic save in that situation,
It's a
but
bonus.
it's a bonus if he does. As a dancing
We've said this
around the
before. We've
spot,
said this before. Right? If you're running a football team, if your goalkeeper saves a penalty, for me, I'm like, that's a bonus. I'm not expecting you to save penalties. So if you do, it's a bonus. But the people taking them, you've got to at least get them on target, right?
yeah,
I expect you to score, but I want you to score, but you've at least got to get it on target. So kicking it over or kicking it wide, to me, is for a professional footballer, it's just unacceptable.
yeah, dance. And I
Unless you
love
see
Eze.
it.
I love Eberiche Eze because I think he has. You could point to any of our signings this season and say that they were a difference maker. They were the ones who provided the goals, the extra points. And I can say that about Eze. He scored some vital goals for us against Crystal Palace, against Newcastle. They were the winning goals in some games. And we'll
And it's
never.
quite obvious the goalkeeper was like, listen, mate, you can hop, skip, and jump as much as you like. I'm not moving until you kick the ball.
Yeah, and that's what kind of psyched them out a little bit as well. But for
And then
me,
that's where the indecision comes in, yeah.
just get him on target, and then you can live with a fingertip save around the post, or a good save. And that's the frustrating thing for me is that David Raya made the save, and their goalkeeper did not have to make any saves. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
now, and I think maybe generally we've agreed tonight that Mikel Arteta had to play the game in that fashion that didn't allow our players to open the game up um, in the final analysis of the Champions League final.
I mean,
Couple of
at points we were playing 4-4-2, and at points we were playing long ball. I mean,
Yeah,
you know
we
what I
did
mean?
go along quite a bit. We did go along quite a bit, which is it tells me something that in the dressing room and for the preparation was we can't allow ourselves to be in duels in midfield. We basically accepted that their midfield is better than our midfield, right? So that is part of the tactics. And yes, going to Havertz, we talked about it last Thursday night. Going to Havertz to hold the ball up, which is he was pretty good at, holding the ball up at times, and finding our wingers. At certain points, we're going to get to the referee now. At certain points, I was especially in the second half when we needed that out ball, we needed to relieve the pressure. The balls were played to Kai Havertz, and he was being fouled. No ifs, ands, or buts. He was being fouled, but the referee was saying, "Get up and carry on. It's not. I'm not going to give you a free kick for this." Um, One other controversial thing I want to say is, I think Alonso. I think that we antagonized the referee in the first half. I think we really irritated the referee. And listen, professional footballers and the players that you're playing against on the field, they talk to the referee. They try to influence the referee. And on the sideline, Luis Enrique was trying to influence the referee. But we gave them more than enough ammunition because we took something like 75 seconds to take a corner or a throw in at the end of that first half, Alonso.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the game and everyone notices how bad the refereeing was in that game. And it's unfortunate that the referee can't do his job without anyone getting in his ear and telling him how to referee a game. And to me, I think that's where, in some ways, you got to play the game defensively. And I hate saying that because obviously, the referee was then having to side with the PSG on more fouls or calls to go their way, and that's unfortunate. I just wish these referees would have more balls to call it in the correct way. Of course, there's gonna be some missed calls, missed fouls, etc. But you gotta push past that, and just hope that you can be proactive and just play the game the right way instead of having the other players get to the coach to the referee skin and have him referee a biased match, and it was. And it was a. I'm sure you talk about it later, right? But the second half was just a disaster to me. The way the referee and the sideline, the judges on the sidelines called
We didn't get anything from them. We first, yeah, because we didn't have enough in midfield to maintain or possess the ball, and we didn't get any free kicks to relieve the pressure and get us up the field either. So those 20 minutes in the second half were really hard for us.
yeah, and that's just the way that it was going for Arsenal in the second half because they couldn't get no momentum. And I think we had a free kick in the I think extra time. I believe it was.
Yeah,
Even then, it was just so disorganized, and we had to run at it. We had to go at it at extra time to score a goal.
yeah.
And I don't think they were too keen on scoring a goal because then it became too flustered or they missed. It's like, man,
Yeah, I'll get a couple of comments here and then we'll go to Stan. Kylie Gunner said maybe should have started Martinelli instead of Trossard. None of this starting front three at pace to counterattack. Maybe it's something to reflect on from Mikel Arteta. Maybe have some of your better players although our bench was strong, have some of our better players to come back to in the second half. Stan, your thoughts on refereeing, and do you think we sometimes fall into this time wasting? I believe we sometimes fall into this time wasting. It's very obvious what we're doing. We're trying to milk the clock.
When it comes to the refereeing for that match, I kind of have a mixed bag because I think for the two biggest decisions, and when I say that, I'm talking about both of the penalty shouts. The one with Mosquera giving away a penalty, and then the other one, which was a penalty, shout that people were thinking worked for Arsenal with Madueke. I actually think that looking back, that both decisions were correct. I think that Mosquera did give away a penalty. I think that was a fair penalty to get. And I think looking at the Madueke one, it wasn't a penalty. But I can only say that it wasn't a penalty because I had the opportunity. I get the opportunity as a viewer to see the angles and the different angles in slow motion. Because initially, it happened in real time. I thought it was a penalty.
Yeah, it was a penalty.
I did think it was a penalty, but it wasn't until you get to see all the angles when I thought to myself, well, Madueke is really cuddling that guy. He really wants to hug that. He's really hugging that guy, and his arm was quite intertwined.
Which kind of started. Defenders do that.
I know, but it started the intertwining, and the other guy, he fell on top of him. So but as I say, in real time, I was like, penalty. So I do think that, when I say it was a mixed bag, I do think that those two penalty shouts were correct, the decisions given. But like you say, some of the smaller stuff, like the 50-50s, players clattering into each other, I did feel that a lot of those decisions were going to PSG more often than not. And then there was that whole debacle of, okay, corner to Arsenal, boop, half-time. You're like, we ain't took the corner yet. But I get it, right? You're not supposed to add on time for corners. And there was a very famous World Cup match many years ago with, was it Brazil-Sweden? And a similar thing happened where a corner was given, I think, was it Brazil? And as the corner's given and the ball is going up in the air, that's when the referee blew for the time. And then the ball came down and a goal was scored. And it was like, no, but I blew. So I do think I do kind of think to myself then, why not just not give that blow then?
But
rather than giving it,
was that the start of the referee thinking badly about us? Because he goes in at halftime and he's probably he might have talked to some people, maybe his own linesman, They're like, hey, Arsenal are time wasting here. We got to be careful with that. Come out in the second half, Mosquera gets a yellow card within a minute.
Exactly. But there is something that I did hear today, and that was a report that is it Scotland are playing a game? Was it a friendly, a pre-warm-up game to do with their World Cup tomorrow or the day after, still Saturday, whatever. But whatever this game is, right, with Scotland, what they're going to be doing in the game is they're going to trial something. They're giving 5 seconds for throw-ins and 5 seconds for a goal kick, and they're piloting this. So this must be obviously a FIFA directive, right? Not UEFA, which is Champions League. This is a FIFA directive. So that's something that I don't know if it will be carried into the competition.
Yeah,
but they're piloting this. What does that mean? Is that 5 seconds from when the goalie picks the ball up or not? I mean,
no, it's 5 seconds from when he puts it down and backs up and he's ready to kick it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, who knows? But this is something that they're looking into, and that's obviously cutting down on the time that it takes to take a set piece.
Have you ever in recent months and maybe recent seasons, have any of you ever marked the time? Okay, it's 40 minutes and 23 seconds, and then I've marked the time and I'm like, okay, now it's gotten 41 minutes, so it's taken 37 seconds to kick that ball out.
I just think the easy answer is, right, you've got all these people watching the game. You've got people in VAR, you've got people outside of the pitch watching this game that are in official capacity. The referee has got sometimes they wear 2 watches, right? You've got other people, linesmen around. There's plenty of officials there. I just think that all you do is that when a ball goes out of play or a referee or a set piece is taking too long, you just stop the watch And then when it's time to, at the end, when the guy needs to know how many minutes am I holding up, you give him the correct amount of time, and then we'll know then. And if you're thinking, like, fucking hell, 9 minutes of extra time, well, maybe you shouldn't have taken all of that time with your throw-ins and your goal kicks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That will improve the game. It will naturally be like, the manager's now got to think, do I tell my team to take their time? But if you're a team that needs to take our time and see a game out, we don't need 9 minutes being added on when it should be 4.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Maybe we need to take that out of our game. And that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Organically, it might be the problem.
You're making me think about something I'm going to go to Alonso with. You made me think about something. Alonso, it can't be too long before, we get a 45-minute clock that's going to tick down to 0. But every time there's a stoppage, the clock should stop. Every time the ball goes out of play, the clock should stop.
Why
This
not?
is very American football or basketball, but this is what happens, right? The clock stops when the ball goes dead.
You would think so, right? But there's some things in sports that I don't understand why things are the way they are. For example, in NASCAR, if there's a wreck and there's a caution come out, then those laps are counted as laps ran, right? So they don't stop the race for a caution. They do, but they run these laps, this cool down laps, and they use as laps counted.
Like
same thing with NASCAR. Yeah, same thing as NASCAR. In football.
Yeah.
They don't stop it because of injury. They should, but they don't.
Wow.
So to me, it's been very frustrating because, at that point you're down to 10 minutes in the first half, and anything can happen, right? If your team wants to attack. But in this instance, just take the corner kick and you're done with it, and then call it, and then blow the whistle. It's fair, right? But they don't do that either.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of not right.
Can I just say, the same way, your comparison to like NFL is totally wrong. It's not going to be we're not going to get to a stage where it's going to be like the whole team will move towards the dugout and be talking to the coach and stuff, and the clock will stop, and we'll wait for them to have a discussion, and then the play will start. I'm talking about just to speed up things like throw-ins, goal kicks. Obviously, when a player goes down, the game still continues. But if you have to bring people onto the field of play to look at them, the clock stops. That's where you get extra minutes from. And I'm just saying that maybe if you start seeing like the minutes, and it's like, well, you are taking too long to go, and there should be maybe some sort of a cushion. It's like if you go over 8 seconds to take a throw in, then maybe we'll start adding it all together. And if managers know that that's happening, they're not going to actively tell players to waste time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to actively tell your players to waste time, knowing that you're going to still have to play those minutes out when they're going to be more tired. So maybe organically, it will help the problem. Because, and I'm not saying that if Arsenal are exploiting loopholes to win games and get points, I'm not bothered about that. Because that's the world that we live in, right? Do you know what I mean? It's fine margins.
I wouldn't say exploiting. I would
say that being very effective at corners.
Yes.
Again, I'm not bothered about that. That's a loophole that we've managed to exploit. You can score goals from corners, believe it or not, and goals win your matches. And everyone's pissed off that they haven't been able to do it as good as us.
I just don't like the word exploiting, because that means like we're.
You know what I mean? Ben White fucking around with the goalkeeper. He's not fucking about the goalkeeper. He does it. We don't want it. If we saw a player doing that to David Raya, we'd be pissed off. But when there's one of ours doing it and it's working and that, these are call it dark arts if that's what you want to call it.
As long as it's within the rules.
You can't have it both ways. It was like, for how many years were we known as a team with the soft underbelly? Oh, they've got soft underbelly at Arsenal. Yes. Now we're masters of the dark arts. Which one do you prefer?
Masters of the universe.
The soft underbelly where everyone's going coochie 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 coo, or do you prefer living rent free in everyone else's head? I know what I prefer, because
Yeah.
if you're doing that, that means that you're making a dent. You're something to worry about. You know what I mean? You're a problem.
We do it
And
better
so
than anyone else, Stan. We do it better than anyone else.
Do you know who trailed us by one corner kick, though?
What?
Do you know who trailed us by one corner kick, though?
Trailed us by Liverpool, was it?
No, the
Who?
team that finished 17th, and the
Tottenham.
team also from North London.
Was Tottenham.
Yes,
They were good on set pieces too.
good on corner kicks.
Wow. Tony, I want to cover. You were probably away and not listening, right? And you had to take a phone call, right? So I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
touch you up a little bit. Tony, were we wasting time during the Champions League final?
We waste time all the time on the throw-ins are horrible. But I didn't I send you a photo? Didn't I send you a video of it? Just give me a second. I'm
You just have to
pretty
answer
sure.
the question. You just have to participate in the podcast and answer the question. That's all.
Yeah, but I have to have the information at my fingertips.
You've got it all in there. It's between your ears.
I
You,
got so much shit going on, Ray. You think I can keep track of everything?
I thought you knew. Yeah, I understand you got a lot going on. Let's get through a few comments while you're looking at that stuff, right?
Yep.
And make sure you find the right pictures, Tony. Okay, you know. And where has Martinelli scored most of his goals from the middle, not stuck in the touchline, like Steven said, like it's been for the last 2 years. He did score 6 or 7 Champions League goals this season, by the way. Listen, Martinelli probably scored the goal that made the biggest difference in the Premier League. That swing against Manchester City in that last injury time goal pretty early in the season was a big marker for our season and a big swing. The final is a stupid place to be sending a message to players. Um, and speaking of penalties, why did Eze do that? Greetings, everyone, from
so
BS
here's a
Gunner.
question.
Late to the
Here, right?
door. The bounce was late to the door. Stan, go ahead.
I have a question there. Is the final going to be sending a message, right? But let's
What
ask the
message was
question.
The
The substitutions of Saka and Odegaard, perhaps, because that's what I was talking about. Is the manager sending some sort of a message to them because of their performance? But
Okay,
let me ask
okay.
a question: do you think those two players should have come off or stayed on?
Who?
Either one.
Odegaard and Saka, 65th and
Were they
84th.
doing enough? Were they doing enough to stay on, or should they have gone off? Were they given long enough to show if they could do anything? What do you think?
I think you got to look very, very hard to see Odegaard's influence. I'm sure it goes way above my football intelligence, but for me, Odegaard does not pass the eye test for me. But I do understand what he did against West Ham. His movement in that right hand corner against West Ham shifted players away, so Trossard would be able to get a clean shot. So the purists will see the value of Odegaard. I would say I'm not a purist and I'm a regular football fan, and Odegaard for me does not pass the eye test, and it could be because he's been withdrawn further and further away from the edge of the box. So I'm not generally a fan of Odegaard, and at this point in the last 2 seasons, he's struggled.
I
But what about
still don't
Saka?
think it's him. I don't
Hold
think
on.
it's him. I
No,
still
let me
think it's
finish.
the direction.
Well, we can do Odegaard first. Let's do Odegaard first, and then Saka. Is that fair?
Hold
All
on.
right, Odegaard, Tony.
Um, I think he still possesses the ability, but I think all of this is gonna be not worth our time because I'm almost positive he's a leave this summer. But I'm with you. I don't think he had near enough influence on the game. I think with capabilities there, but Arteta doesn't want to play him as a attacking midfielder, and we know what works. We know Bucharest plus Cassard plus guess who, right?
Yeah, many say
Eze, those three, when played together, have not lost a game this season. And that
yeah,
was, I believe, 14 games.
yeah.
And I haven't seen enough.
It's going to be tough though because he is the club captain. It's going to be a tough one to countenance a shift. We all can see maybe Declan Rice is going to be the.
I don't think he's looking. I don't think he is. If you watch the games, I said it. I think Gabriel is your captain, de facto captain. Rice, de facto vice.
Okay. Listen, let's hold that the captain talk to a little bit later because I think that looks like it's going to be explosive. A tinderbox right there with Tony.
I don't think you have to have a fucking British
Okay,
guy
let's
as your
go
captain.
Alonso.
That's what
Stick around,
everybody.
stick
Have that
around, folks.
discussion now.
That's what everybody wants to stroke to.
No,
Everybody likes
no,
that.
no.
Alonso, Odegaard, Alonso.
Yeah, it seems like every year since that 15 goal season, he's digressed and gotten worse as far as the confidence to score goals, to get assists. He's still capable, don't get me wrong, but the more and more he's played, the less and less he's taking shots on goal, on target.
Yeah,
And he had a good assist against West Ham. However, we had not seen enough of that in the past 3 years.
yeah,
And it's concerning because he is a club captain, but this year you've seen less of him on the pitch, where you've seen, Saka, Gabriel, and Rice take the captain's armbands, and maybe rightfully so, but Odegaard hasn't really been the guy we've seen in 2022-23 season. And as a fan, it's discouraging because I'm a believer of you go as the captain goes.
yes,
And attacking wise, we haven't been the same either. I mean, we're dependent now on Saka to score goals and assists. And to me, it seems like Odegaard has fallen back on a pecking order as far as being a playmaker. And to me, it seems like we're better off without him off the pitch than we are on. And that doesn't mean he could come on the second half and be a difference maker, because he has. But it seems like now Eze's better off starting than Odegaard is.
yeah. And we'll talk about transfers and possible transfers in a little bit as well. We're only going to Saka now, Stan. You want to go first, or do you want me to go
No, but I never
first?
said my Odegaard bit. Did I?
Hey, do this. Yeah. I do this. Either you do this to me, or I do that to you every Thursday.
I have things to say about Odegaard because I think that if you're trying to get into Mikel Arteta's head, which I know a lot of people do, you never get anything there from his pre-match interviews. He just tells you nothing whatsoever. But I think I learned a lot from him in the substitute of Martin Odegaard, because Mikel Arteta has been labelled a very defensive-minded kind of a coach first. But what did he do when he took off Odegaard, the player that he brought on? He didn't go like for like straight away and bring on Eze, did he? And keep that same shape and try something different. He brought on Victor.
Yeah.
And we started playing in like a 4-4-2 formation for about 15 minutes, right? Before Saka came off. And then Eze came on, right? And although those 15 minutes were horrible and I started to panic and there seemed to be like a hole in our midfield, So it
Yes.
felt like. What I
Yes.
did like was his thinking. What was he thinking? It's in a Champions League match final, and he made a change. He was brave enough to take off his captain because his captain wasn't really making much of a contribution during that game. Instead of going like for like, he put on an extra attacker and tried to go for it. He did try. He did have that in his mind, right? Bringing on, having two playing up front off each other. He tried to do that.
Yeah.
But that 15 minutes was probably, for me, one of the worst 15 minutes in the game. We almost let them back in, I thought, in
Yeah.
that 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when he made that change and he took Saka off and he brought Eze on, we kind of got our shape back a bit more. And I started to feel a little bit more comfortable. But it's interesting, isn't it? Martin Odegaard, I mean, my missus, every time she sees him now, she always says, he doesn't look well. My missus into fitness and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
She says it all the time. He doesn't look well. I don't know exactly what she means, but that's the comment she makes about it. She says that he looks a bit gaunt.
Yeah.
But you know, I've always been a big Martin Odegaard fan, and that 15-goal season with 7 assists, I was just like, is this what we're going to? I was just like, strap yourselves in, man. This is going to the moon. This geezer. And then it really hasn't sort of like continued from there. And as I say, there is maybe a part of it where as a team, we're playing different, which means that he's having to take up different positions and do different things. However, it's not like he's not taking shots anymore. And there are some times where he's in a good place to shoot and he'll second guess and go for a pass which he shouldn't be making. But there are a lot of times when he does shoot, he's so close, but not going in. He does. I've seen it happen a lot. He still takes some shots, but there is just clipping the post, or you know what I mean. So I don't know where his future lies. You know, it's a Champions League final, and he can't see the game out as a captain. So I don't know what the future holds for Martin Odegaard. And I'm thinking to myself, is it a case of, what does everyone say about Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko? They were brought in at a specific time when the club needed players that had certain, you know, attributes about them to take us to a certain level. And as we got to a certain level, they now had to be moved on, similar to Tierney in that way. You know, a team evolves. Some players have played their part, but they can't evolve where the team is going to next. And is that what's happened to Martin Odegaard? Have we now got to he's won his Premier League medal, but have we got to a stage now where if we really want to go on to that next bit, which is like, you know, retaining titles and winning Champions Leagues, are we now looking for, especially when it comes to his position and maybe definitely the left wing, are we now looking to have something which is on a more consistent level? You know what I mean?
Are you talking about
are we evolving in these areas? Because, you know, when I talk about the left, neither one of Martinelli or Trossard is actually nailing it down. They're not nailing it down. There's no like, yeah, that's the guy, that's the one. You know what I mean? It still feels like that is up for grabs. And I think that in a team which should be going for the big ones, we shouldn't have positions where that's still the case.
Yeah. Are you talking about a certain player who plays with Aston Villa right now? It's rumored to be a target for Arsenal this summer.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, Morgan Rogers seems he's quite versatile. He can play in more than one position. But I do think as well that it might not surprise me that Arsenal like market opportunities, right? That's a phrase that we hear a lot. There was a market opportunity. And it would seem to me that maybe one of the biggest market opportunities at the moment could be Marcus Rashford, because he was at Barcelona with a buy clause of 30 million, and Barcelona decided not to activate that and pay the 30 million, but go euros, I think maybe, and go out and pay 80,000 euros for Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
But if a lot of people look at that and think, well, why would you do that, right? Rashford was playing for Barcelona. and in 49 appearances scored 14 goals and 14 assists, which is a good return. You know, he's been there a season. He's embedded himself. You know, he's made relationships. He's contributing. That's 28 goal contributions in 49 games. That's not bad. So why would you not activate the 30 million and go and spend 80 million? It's quite simple, isn't it? It's the wages. That's the thing, right? It's the wages, and they've got very strict wage rules in Spain. So it's more. It wasn't the 30 million that was the problem. It was the wage structure. It's far better for them and easier for them to spend 80 million in a transfer fee, but have lower wages over a fixed period of time. So that's the thing. When I say that market opportunities, you know, you think Marcus Rashford is on the market. He's a capable player.
Yeah, we got to be very careful though.
Even though the fee would only be 30 million, my problem is it would be high wages, right? Marcus Rashford.
I'm not. So first of all, we'll give a shout out to Gary, who's joined the chat. So Gary, how are you doing? Hope you're having a good night. For me, okay, we can talk about the money. We can talk about the wages. That's less of a concern for me. We can talk about the player. But I think we have to say we're in a unique position now where after 8 seasons of this podcast, 7 or 8 seasons of this podcast, we're now looking at it from the top of the pile. We are at the top of the English pyramid right now, English football pyramid. And we're looking at a almost level basis across at Paris right now. Paris Saint-Germain and those other teams. You know, Bayern Munich in Germany, maybe Real Madrid, Barcelona in Spain. And we have to be looking at the best players now in Europe and in England. You know, I don't know if Marcus Rashford is one of those, but maybe Morgan Rogers can be a player that can integrate into the team. And I don't know if we're looking for players who are going to be superstars and set themselves apart from the rest of the team. I think it's going to be very much part of the collective. You know what I mean, Stan, Tony? Part of the collective. Like,
can I ask one question? One question, okay?
Sure.
Would either of you be happy if, let's say, Arsenal went out and paid Man United £30 million for Rashford, and we then gave them a wage of 280 million, 280,000 a week to play on the left-hand side, and also that, you know, we know that he can play as a striker if needed as well. Would you think of that as? Would you be happy with that? And one of Martinelli, Trossard, let's say, and Trossard goes out. So Trossard goes out.
I would think that we could do better than that.
In what way? Where? In output or what we're paying?
Yeah, almost everything. Output, wages, and the ability of the player.
So, okay, let me pose it to you this way, right? Would you pay? Okay, let me ask you. Let me reframe it another way, right?
Okay.
Would you? And this is to everybody. Would you pay £30 million for Rashford, and let's say 280,000 pounds a week, or would you pay 85 million for Rodrigo and pay him £280,000 a week?
Yeah,
to play in the same position.
I think I would go for the better player with the higher price.
Who's the better player?
Yeah.
Who's the better player in your eyes?
I believe Rodrigo's a better player, but you're going to tell me the stats this season. Probably going to snafu me somehow, somewhere.
Well, I'm just saying, in the same league, I haven't looked at Rodrigo, and I know he's had some injuries, but in the same league, Marcus Rashford has made 49 appearances in all competitions, and he scored 14 goals and scored 14 assists, 28 goal involvement in all competitions in his first season.
How old is
in a new country?
How old is Rashford?
Remember we say all these caveats when we buy players. Oh, they got to settle in. It's a new country. It's a new league. And he's got a call up to England on the back of what he's done this season. He's been called up to the World Cup. So I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think we can do better than Marcus Rashford on the left wing. I understand what you're saying. All right, Team Blue. Go to Team Blue. Let's go to Team Blue downstairs.
This is awkward. This is awkward Blu-ray. Right. So for me, I'd rather have Rashford only because I think that he still has a lot to prove. I think he's a Premier League proven player. I think that it'd be a good redemption arc if we had him playing really well against his team, Manchester United, right? I think that he could do a lot with Arsenal currently if he was on the team. And I think he'd come at a cheaper price. And again, he's an England player. So I would not mind that at all.
28 years old.
Yeah, he's still young. I mean, he's still in his prime, I guess. So I would take him in a heartbeat. That's just me, because he could also play striker as well if needed. So I had no issues with Michael Rashford coming to Arsenal.
Okay. Team Blue. We're in the other aqua blue.
Team Blue player 2. You could go to PSG.
Ooh, now Barcola.
Yeah, but looking at Rodrigo's stats, right? And I like Rodrigo. I've always been a Rodrigo fan. He's never scored in the last 3 seasons he's been at Real Madrid. He's never scored more than Marcus Rashford has in the same league, and Marcus Rashford is doing it in his first season. This season he's been in 19. This season he's only been in 19 matches, right? 1 goal, 3 assists. But last season, 30 matches, 6 goals, 5 assists. Season before that, 34 goals, 10 goals, 5 assists. And yes, he's younger, and he's apparently going to be getting better. But I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying I prefer Marcus Rashford, by the way. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, and Tiger Gouda said Rashford 1 season wonder. Yeah, you like to play devil's advocate a lot. You know what I mean? I'm glad you're not whispering in Mikel Arteta's ear about what he should be doing.
I know who Ray would root for, but based on being a Star Wars fan.
Okay, cryptic.
You would go for Doku.
Doku. Probably not. No, Stan, I hear what you're saying. Marcus Rashford resurrected his career. He took a loan last season at Aston Villa, went to Barcelona, and the numbers look good now, right? He's playing in a good team, remember, as well. He's got Yamil Lamal, right? What's the guy's name? He's pretty good. And Rafinha's in there as well. So he's playing with some good players, scoring some goals, and probably I want to say the Spanish league is probably a little bit weaker than the Premier League in terms of physicality for sure. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think Morgan Rodgers is on the radar, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as well as Arsenal love a market opportunity, and they'll package it up as we're only buying him for 30 million. Marcus Rashford, England international, but the wages will be higher. But then again, if you sell Gabriel, you free up space for those higher wages because Gabriel's on around that, right? I'm talking about Gabriel Jesus. So, it's going to be interesting. But
what? So, as we prefaced earlier in the podcast, Dan, what areas of the field, and we might have touched on this last week. What positional, what positions on the field should we be targeting this summer?
Well, if Gabriel Jesus is leaving, I always think that if one goes out, one needs to come in. So that's one of the main strikers. We've basically got four strikers, haven't we? We've got
Yeah.
Havertz, Gyökeres, Jesus, and even Marino can get in there, right?
Yeah.
So we've got some four choices, and if one of those is leaving, that needs to be replaced. Because we've done that before. Do you remember? We sold Lacazette and we sold Aubameyang, and we only brought one in. Two went out, only one comes in. I don't like that.
Yeah.
You got to,
Yeah.
So the question is,
you want to bring balance
if
to the
Havertz
force.
is going right, what do? You got the profile of a Gyökeres and a Havertz. What do you do with the one that you're going to bring in now? Do you bring in a young prospect? So he can play, but it's more of a prospect and younger in years. And Gyökeres and Havertz are higher than them in the pecking order, or do you place Gabriel Jesus with a big name, a name that could also start as well? Let's say, for example, I'll throw a name out there, a Julian Alvarez. Jesus goes out. What do we do?
Yeah.
Do we get a younger one in? And those two are considered the main men when they're fit, and you've got a young kid who's battling and can play games. Or do you replace him with someone who's established, like a Julian Alvarez? Personally, for me, I'd go with the more established.
Julian.
I would.
So
I'd be looking for someone that I would consider maybe a slight upgrade on what we have, rather than someone to be below as a prospect. That's what I would do.
At Barcelona, Julian Alvarez is already being touted to go to Barcelona as well. So it could be
I'm just using that as an example for profile, as in,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's where he wants to go,
though. BX said, "Why must Odegaard be propped up so high? Surely he's no failed wonder kid and actually a good player, but he seemed forced as this massive leader, where he hasn't shown what Declan does so effortlessly." Yeah. What? It's hard to know what players are out there, though, Stan. Do you know what I mean? We're trying to look for transfer activity. Tony?
That's why I believe it was, I was reading it on ESPN or whatever, but they're basically saying hold on to Trossard because there's not many left winger options out there. And one we skipped over while we were doing this was, what about going to get Anthony Gordon from Stan's grandpappy's team?
Newcastle. But he's gone to Barcelona now, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Odegaard and Martinelli need to get the hell away from Arteta to save their careers. Rashford's only red flag is his wages. Rashford wouldn't get anywhere near those numbers in the Premier League. Spanish league is crap after top three teams.
Right.
Hope we get Rodgers. Rodgers would be a good acquisition. Alonso, he seems to have some pace that he can inject in the midfield, either left wing or centrally.
Yeah, I mean, I think very highly of Morgan Rogers. I think that he has a lot of. I think he could do a lot of good things, kind of Arsenal.
Yeah.
Though to Tony's point, I don't really. I wouldn't trust anything on but ESPN writes. I think that they're foolish. Because to me it's like the pundits there, like Stevie Nicol and Shaka Hislop and the other guy.
They don't have anything to do with their writing.
Marino.
Alonso.
Yeah. So and that guy from Colombia, I don't know his name, but
Ali Marino.
Yeah, Marino, yeah. Like they all hate Arsenal. Yeah, Steve Nicol. That bitter old fart.
Frank Garley.
Yeah, because he's still bitter about '89, right? So he hates Arsenal because of that.
Shaka Hislop.
Yeah, that's him. Whatever.
Newcastle.
Yeah. So it's
Stuart
like
Robson.
he's the only credible guy on there, man. And so like the ESPN sucks, dude. Like, And Tony, if you kids haven't noticed, Anthony Gordon has signed for Barcelona. That happened like a week ago. A week ago already, but
Big
I'm
blue,
trying.
big blue, aqua blue news flash.
You're fired, Tony.
Yeah,
I'm just joking. But yeah, I mean, in hindsight, Morgan Rogers to be on here would be a huge shoot for me. I think that he's also going to play. I can't wait to see him play for England in the World Cup. I think he'll make a difference. I think
Who?
he's very Morgan
Morgan
Rogers.
Rogers. I'm
I
waiting.
I think he'll be better than Cole Palmer. And I think that's why Tommy Tuchel, aka Tommy Tickle, preferred him over Cole Palmer and Phil Foden.
What's his position, Alonso? Is he a 10 or is he a left on the left?
Yeah.
I
playing.
think he's a better left winger, to understand, but I think he'll be used as number 10 in England.
Tell you
Yeah.
what, doesn't he seem to? Does he seem
Bellingham, though,
to
isn't it?
like?
Bellingham.
Does he seem like a good
Right.
Frankenstein of Martinelli and Trossard? Morgan Rogers. Does he seem like the
I-
best parts of each?
Isn't that what
I
Eze
think-
was supposed to be? Isn't Eze? I think of Morgan Rogers and Eze being central, the number 10s that can play on the left, but they're going to drift in. I'm being very sort of bare with that description.
Eze-
A similar profile.
Eze gets on the ball. I think Morgan Rogers crashes into the box a lot, playing 1-2s with some pace. I think Eze holds the ball a little bit more and wants to be a ball player.
For me, if we're going to buy Morgan Rogers, then someone in that centre midfield has to go. Maybe Odegaard, because there's been talk. I don't know. Someone has to go because I think that's where he plays. Because Eze plays there as well.
But the thing, Stan, the thing we need to build. Well, okay, the World Cup's going to happen. Morgan Rogers.
You asked me about positions. I only said about. In a nutshell, I think we need to buy another attacker to replace Gabriel Jesus. I don't think it should be an understudy. I think should be someone that can fight for a first place, like a profile of an Alvarez. That kind, someone that's established. I also think that we need to finally nail down a left winger, because the two that we've got, they're still fighting it out. They're like two dogs fighting over a pork chop. Both got each end. No one's getting it. No one's getting the chop.
They're in different competitions. They play in different competitions, right?
I would say perhaps time to move Trossard on, because he's the one age-wise hasn't got much resale value anyway, and someone like him, he could get a nice little move to somewhere where he can earn money, Saudi maybe, see his days out, make a little package for his family. Martinelli stays, but we bring in a left winger that is either a number one starter or someone that Martinelli has to fight against. I don't know who that could be, a Rodrigo, a Rashford, a Leao, but someone, because we haven't nailed that down. On the right-hand side, we're okay, right? Saka's had a bad season, but we've got Saka, Madueke, and Dalman. I don't think there's going to be any movement there. But I also think that we need to bring in perhaps. I don't know if I think this, but Mikel Arteta will make a defensive signing at some point in this window. He's going to bring in a defender.
Only if we lose one.
He will bring in a defender. He might bring in another left back, another right back.
We need a right back.
Defender. So he will buy a defender, right?
If we think Benjamin Blanco is on his way out, he may stay another season. He may move on, but
they still got Calafiori. Real Madrid sniffing around Calafiori.
There is, but
a lot of talk about that.
You have to say the players would have to believe now we're actually a bigger and better team than Real Madrid right now. We might not be a bigger club, but we're a better team than Real Madrid.
Isn't there that dream, like, if you're a footballer, no matter who the club is that you grow up supporting, isn't the pinnacle of playing football? I mean, I'm not saying I think that, but overall, isn't it considered that to get to the pinnacle of football is playing for Real Madrid, right?
Play for one or Barca, yeah.
I would say Real Madrid. How many? Right now, Real Madrid have won the European Cups how many times?
Much more than Barcelona.
Yeah,
5 or 6, maybe more.
even before the Champions League.
They probably won more than 6, to be honest. Real
Before the
Madrid. Yeah,
Champions League, right?
they
It's
were
double
winning.
figures. I believe.
They were winning the European Cup. Yeah.
So
Gary said,
I think they still have that kind of a pull, you know.
"What?
And you know, you think there's a couple of England players, like for example, remember Jonathan Woodgate, Michael Owen, right? Two English
Yeah.
players that played for Real Madrid, and they have said that, and they played for big teams in England, right? You know,
Levy
they said
McNally,
they said that going to Real Madrid is like 10 levels above where you've been in like
Gareth Bale."
facilities, expected support, everything. It's big. So you know, if Calafiori is if that's happening, maybe there's a deal there.
All right,
You know,
and listen,
if
maybe
it
winning.
means profit. But then again, you remember how Real Madrid always do those deals where they don't want to pay the money, they make the player run out their contract. They do all
Yeah.
that shit, don't they?
Maybe winning a Premier League title will help one or two players to want to move on. But I actually believe these Arsenal players are at the club right now. They believe there's just more coming in the seasons coming up. And why would you leave? You leave a sinking ship. You don't leave. You don't leave a ship that's rising. You know, above
As
everybody
Gary,
else,
as Gary would say, we're trending upwards.
trending upwards. Arsenal
We
and
are.
Gary said Arsenal keep paying for top 12, top 6 has-beens. No more, please. Yeah, and listen, the only number there is 6, and maybe we need the 6 best players in their positions coming up. Yeah, a little bit of talk about the parade. Did everybody enjoy the parade? Did you
Yeah, I
watch the
saw it.
parade,
Yeah.
Alonso?
I
What were
saw
you
I saw it via YouTube, and
saying?
it seems like they're having fun. Ben White doing his typical Ben White dark out stuff,
And
which
poor old Hincapi.
which
What's going on with Hincapi?
this is why I don't want him leaving, because Ben White, though he's shy, put a little drink in him, he'd be just fine. you know, the way that's a side from Ben White I've never seen before, and it's quite hilarious. And whatever happens to him in the off season, I hope he does. I hope he does stay, regardless of what happens. He's still a club legend. I think very highly of Ben White. And he's still an Arsenal player through and through. It looks like he seems like he's been enjoying his time here.
Yeah.
But it is bittersweet that he didn't play the rest of the season out. And I think he does stay.
Maybe he can come back, right? Maybe he can come back stronger. You don't think so, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, and people are going to say on this podcast that all our fullbacks were not good enough, which is total BS. And I think I know who you're talking about. He's the
Well,
Blue player.
Benny
But that
Blanco
being
can't
said,
get
I
halfway up
think
the
that
pitch without
Timber has
hurting
just
himself.
been great for us. I think had Timber been healthy, we would have been
That's your
one.
problem.
He would have been in PSG, and so I think Ben White being there, I think he was hurt a lot, and he played hurt, and I think that any Arsenal player would have give him his due. Because I mean, it's hard to bounce back from those injuries. I think that he was rushed back too quickly, but he did play hard, and he played with heart. And to say he's not good enough is just total rubbish. Because he did come back. I mean, without that, we listen. He
Well,
was so good.
is
He
he
was good
good enough,
defensively.
Alonso?
He hadn't scored no goals.
I listen. I think I could be convinced both either way, but the question is, Alonso and Tony, is he good enough to repeat a campaign where we have to win the Premier League again and
I think so.
retain the title?
With better teams, Manchester United will be better. Other teams will be building. It's not going to be this giant gulf between second
Yeah, to
and
be
the
fair,
rest of the pack.
listen, we
And,
have to be fair.
I have to ask a serious question.
For once, go for it.
Have we had a better right back than Tamiyasu since Tamiyasu's left.
My God.
Oh, Timber's been pretty good now. You have to be fair.
But he's been as injured. So no,
Well,
nobody.
you didn't
No.
say it. You didn't mention injuries. You talked
Yeah,
about
yeah.
ability.
We've always talked about the best ability,
Ability.
availability.
Ability. Yeah, you're right.
I have a question for Tony.
Yes,
Hmm.
Benny
Alonso,
Blanco.
This is like
I have a
question
question
time
for
at the
Tony.
parliamentary question time. Go
I know.
ahead.
I
Mr.
feel like
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I have a question for Tony, the opposition. Because Alonso told us where he was and how he found out, because it was, when we won the league, Tony, it was on a day that we didn't even play a match. So I'm
He
interested to
was
know,
he was on the ball.
Ron,
He
is
was
this
on
the
the
first
ball.
time that you've seen Arsenal win the league? Because I can't remember how long you've been supporting. Is this your first league win? It's been 22 years, right? So that's the first question. But two, where was you when you found out that Arsenal were champions? And then how did you feel when you got that news?
let's see. I've been
He was
supporting
having
the team since
having a
'97, so
sponge
no, it's
bath.
not my first time. Um,
Right.
I was actually at my doctor's office when
He was having a sponge bath.
I was at the doctor's office when said he dropped a point.
How did you know? Was there a radio on, or someone? How did you find out that? Was you looking on your phone, or what were you doing? Sat in your doctor's office.
I was keeping track of the score and
So what did you think when you saw that Man City? It went to 3-3, and there was still time left. Was you like thinking?
1-1.
Was you thinking to yourself like, "Fucking hell, this could be it"? Like this could be it.
I was like, "Hurry up, clock!"
Yes, we all.
Just for the censors out there. Just for the censors out there, he said clock.
Yeah, not clock.
Clock, hurry up, clock. Yeah.
And then when the final whistle went,
Get sponge bath. He said, "Hurry up, clock."
when the final whistle finally went, and you realised we were champions, what did you do? What happened? What was going on?
I was happy, but still disappointed because I think we could have easily put this to bed in April. April was abysmal.
Just Tony, allow yourself to be happy and don't bring the other emotion.
Yeah, but I have to look and see the rest of the league isn't very good. Not much
Fucking hell,
competition.
Tony could have been sitting there, found out we were champions. His missing leg grows back, and he'll still find some disappointment.
Yeah, he could be a
No.
crab.
He's like, this ain't
No.
good enough anymore. I'm gonna take
Tony
it off.
crab.
But that's why we do these shows. We analyze, we look at things.
So
You
Tony's
have to look at all
antagonist.
the
What's that animated
perspectives.
movie, Alonso? Where
But
is it called? Inside Out. Inside Out. You got all the people in there.
I've said this
Emotions.
many times on the trip. Not now on Tuesday. That you have to enjoy the moment because you never know when it's at.
Really enjoy it, Tony. Enjoy the moment, man.
Yeah, you're not taking your own advice.
It's fucking Arsenal. It's Arsenal. I've been in misery for so long. It's post-traumatic stress.
You just told Tony that we won the league, and he's gonna say our fullbacks aren't good enough.
Joe Madeira.
I did have a very shitty Saturday, though, losing the Champions League and the Thunders get knocked out by the
Let me ask
Spurs.
you another question. Did you see the Palace game, and did you see the trophy lift?
Yes, I did.
How did you feel when you actually saw the team lifting the trophy? Did you feel?
My biggest thing was watching Gabriel, seeing him so excited. You could tell it meant a lot to him because
One crayon, you Mike.
He was back there with
Your favorite crayon, Gabriel.
Colonel Mustard, and
This is a good
he
point,
was back
Max.
there when we did David Luiz and all those guys. So yeah, I could tell it meant a lot to him. he seemed like the
Here's a
happiest
question,
out of
then, Tony,
everybody.
right? Here's the question. You just said that you could see how much it meant to Megalegs, right? And he's a favourite of
Yeah.
mine. I try not to have favourites, but me and the missus, we do like him, right? But how did you feel then when you saw him stepping up for the penalty? Before he kicked the ball and you saw that it was him stepping up, what was your immediate thoughts?
It didn't bother me because he's done good on doing some free kicks. I think he's made penalties before.
Yeah, good penalties before.
He just got a little bit under the ball and went over.
Okay, well, how did you feel when he missed?
Adrenaline.
I felt very sorry for him. I was like, oh shit, we're probably gonna lose this now. But
Yeah.
I
That was it. Did loser on that kick.
I was more disappointed in Aze's kick, but I thought that was the worst kick out of it too.
I was holding an empty plastic cup and I threw it across the room in resignation of a Champions League, which heart on heart with again 25% possession. You can't say. You have to
what was it? Is less than
a full story.
Less than a quarter of the amount of passing they had. Yeah. Well, one thing I don't think we've mentioned was did anybody find it really weird the way that PSG played the first 15 minutes
of the game?
Of a game, they looked totally afraid to do anything. They didn't want to go forward.
Do you know what that's called, Tony? You know what that's called? That's called respect. That's what Arsenal is now. They understand. That's the level that we're at. We're not, even maybe in betting we were underdogs. Yeah. Everybody knows that off the ball and defensively, we are the best in the world. It's as simple as that. David Raya has the Golden Glove 3 times in a row. That's never happened before. They know the score, and that's the reason why that the only time that they got the ball in the back of the net before the penalties was a penalty, not in open play. They couldn't do a Bayern Munich on us because we would not allow that. We knew that we couldn't in that department, so we nullified their game. And even though that we only had 25%, you can have the ball. But if you can't do nothing with it, what does it matter?
Yeah.
What does it matter? And we did have a few chances other than the goal. Timber hit the side netting. There was that cross that came into the box and Trossard was almost there but got blocked out. We were still going for it. We were still going and trying to take chances.
Yeah.
But defensively, and listen, I've seen Jose Mourinho win matches, big matches, playing in a very defensive way. They even coined a phrase after it called parking the bus. Yet when he did it, it was genius. When we do it, we've broken football. And this is what my message is to those people that have only been supporting Arsenal maybe for the last 22 years. And they're wondering, why is it that we finally won something, everyone hates us? This is how it always is. Do you want to go back to being tickly Arsenal with the soft underbelly they can play some good games and have some nice patterns of play, but they never win anything, and you've got loads of fans from other teams watching our games because we're not a threat? The reason that they don't like us is because we're a problem now. It's as simple as that. And this is the price that you pay when you get to the top of football. Remember, the team that you support right now is the best team in England, right?
Listen,
the best team in England. And hold on, not only is it the best team in England, it's the second best team in Europe. What more do you want? There are people out there that have been supporting their football team who've never even seen their team get to a cup final, league or FA Cup. Never seen it. They go to their matches week in, week out, or they watch their matches week in, week out. You're supporting the team that is right now is the best in England. The best in England. It's the second best in Europe. You've got to be happy.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I love it. And look, not that we're the same team as Liverpool last season.
Kevin Keegan when he said that, right? You're like, I love it. I bloody love it. If you go up there and win,
I bloody love it.
Kevin Keegan.
But what I won't love is if we go and win the transfer market in the summer, and uh, bring in the wrong kind of players like Liverpool did last season, and it doesn't work.
But
You just
You
made a
know,
good point. You made a good point. Everyone at the end of the window, we done really well. But at the end of the window, what did everyone say? Oh, Liverpool. Liverpool actually won the window. They won the window. What else did they win that season? Last season, the
no,
season just gone. What else
oh,
did they win? So there you
yeah,
go. And they've just changed their manager, right? Lex Luthor is no longer the manager of Liverpool. So they've got to bring someone. They're bringing in Areola, and you have to say that
that
Bournemouth,
seems like
who
a
are
weird.
they're a mid-table team, but they've given us problems. They've given us problems, right?
yeah.
And they always have, but he's never managed a big name. So, but there's going to be a transition. We're
And
still in a. We are still. Arsenal are still in a window where we are the most stable team. Did you hear about this? They done a thing at Arsenal when they looked. They had some analysts in, and they looked at a period of time, and they said that right now we are in. I can't remember what the window is, but now it's even been more emphasised, right? Man United are sticking with the guy that was their player, right? They're sticking with him, right? When he took over being the manager after Amorim, when Amorim got sacked, I think he was something like 13 points behind Arsenal.
14.
14. Okay, well, Carrick, he got to maybe what did he get to by the time the end of the league? What was
He
it?
gained one more point than we did since then.
But there was one point where there were like 12, 13 points. It wasn't. There's not been a big disparity. There's not been a
No,
big disparity, and they're gonna find out next season whether Carrick is the one or not.
yeah.
Yeah, and not
You
only
know,
that,
you know,
not
the
only that, you have to remember now it's all about pull. Yes, Man United has pull as a club, but Michael Carrick as a manager, he doesn't have pull. He doesn't have pull, right?
but the
Liverpool have
other
just
thing
gone through. Liverpool are now going through their transition. They've got rid of Slot. They're now going to bring in Areola. Chelsea, they got rid of Rosinha. They're bringing in Xabi Alonso.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going through. Everyone that's a problem to us is still going. They're going through like a bedding in stage. They've just
all new
planted their
man,
seeds.
yeah,
We are Man City. Our biggest problem. Not only have they got rid of the manager, and now everyone's got to buy into this new guy who's not going to come in and play exactly the same way. You've got players leaving. That key players are leaving. Bernardo Silva's leaving. Vardio is going. Who knows what's going to happen with the 115 thing? All the teams that are a problem could be a problem to Arsenal are going through a lot of transition and a bedding in. We're the only one that has foundations. So what I'm saying is, right,
Can I ask you a question?
if we're going to do the unimaginable thing of winning a title, but going on and being a team that retains a title, it's a good team that wins the league. It's a very good team, excellent team that retains it. That's the next level. Now is the perfect time. We are set up just right. And both the manager and the owner's son, who's the Arsenal guy, Josh, have said, we are not standing still. We're not going to tread water. Now is the time to strike. So I think that it's a good time. Sorry, everyone, please.
but I liked everything you said, and with some of the things I was thinking about saying. Tony,
So Stan, you have these 115 charges, but all of them are from 2014 to 2019. So do you go back in the record books and get rid of some stuff, or do you punish these players and managers that have absolutely nothing to do with this?
crazy.
Well, to answer your question, I think that you can put asterisks against certain titles, but you can't strip them because what do you do? What do you do? Do you give the teams that finished second those titles? The people that were relegated, you got to think of the bottom of the table.
It's
It's
crazy.
not just about the top; it's about the bottom. So I would think, for me, if they are found guilty, the the punishment for me has to be points over fines, because they're owned by people that have more money than you and I can even dream about in a lifetime.
But
So you go,
but
punishment has to affect. So it has to be some sort of a point deduction that takes them out of the league and maybe down 2 leagues. And that's that. That's if they're found guilty. But
Yeah.
they're going to go through a transition now because they've lost the manager. It's going to change things. There's no guarantees. They're going through a transition. Now is the window of opportunity for Arsenal. Right now, we could not be in a better place to capitalise on where we are in world football.
One
And
thing,
if we don't, if we mess this up, we may never have this window again, because everyone that you think is a competition to Arsenal, everyone is going through some sort of transition, a change. There's unease, whatever you may want to call it. We're the only stable ship right now. We are.
it's a great opportunity to repeat. It's a great opportunity to do something we've never done in the Premier League. We've done it in the 30s, I believe, but we never did it in the Premier League. Um, Mikel Arteta loves Arsenal. Pep Guardiola said that. That guy, he loves Arsenal. He's brought us back from the depths of mid-table to the top. Michael Carrick scares me a little bit because he loves Manchester United. The rest of them, I think they're just like
Has it?
mercenaries.
Yeah, hold on. Look at Carrick. Has it been a big blast under him? It's not. It's not really.
No, he's done a
I
quiet job.
understand that the guy that guy that's not growing his hair. Has he cut his hair yet?
Yeah, he did. They might have scored. They might have won 5 games.
No, I don't think he's cut his hair yet.
Okay.
So that's what I'm
The
saying,
others
right?
are
I don't
mercenaries.
think in the chat, has that guy cut his hair yet? If he ain't cut his hair yet, then what's the problem? Yeah, they're gonna win. They're gonna win matches and stuff, but no.
Yeah.
And what I don't, I tell you what I don't understand. I tell you what I don't understand, right? If Liverpool have got rid of Lex Luthor now, right? Why did they allow Xabi Alonso to go to Chelsea? Because Xabi Alonso has only gone to Chelsea a few weeks ago. Well,
Yeah.
are you telling me a few weeks ago there were no doubts about Slaphead Slot? There were no doubts. It was only a couple of days ago someone woke up and goes, "We're going to fire him." If you're going to fire him a couple of days ago, there must have been thoughts when you're thinking to yourself, "Well, even if you're just talking over a cigar and a brandy, these big chairmen are right." They're having a chat and they're like, "Well, if we." Let's just jive here a little bit. If we did get rid of Slot tomorrow, who's out there? You're like, well, Xabi Alonso's out there, club legend. Everyone likes him. The reason he got sacked from Madrid wasn't because he was shit. It's because the players and all that bollocks is going on. They allowed that to slip through their fingers to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing in. Do you know what I'm getting at? Areola might be a good thing for them. Who knows, right? But surely Xabi Alonso was the one. And I can't understand how Liverpool sat on their hands. Surely, if they were going to sack the manager, they must have known when Alonso was available. They must have had an inkling. There must have been a thought. Do you know what I'm getting at?
The dressing room, Stan. It was the players in the dressing room. They created unrest, and Slot position became untenable. They were not going to.
Well, Salah put out a tweet which was quite inflammatory. You know what I mean? Salah hadn't left yet. He was still in the house. There were still games to be played. And the tweet was liked by a lot of players, a lot of first-team players. Obviously, probably not Cody Gakpo, because, it's a Dutch thing. But, Sablozzolai, a lot of key players were liking that tweet.
Yeah, indeed. Tiger's asking why Arsenal's dragging their feet. Well, the transfer window doesn't open yet. But you better believe we're on it. Josh Kroenke, Alonso. I loved Josh Kroenke, and he got a lot of stick, and the Kroenke's got a lot of stick when times were bad, American owners and all that. But you can't deny, you have to love Josh Kroenke and the way he's committed to Arsenal and making them the best team in Europe and England again.
Yeah, I think the Kroenkes, aka Kroenkes, have really not only done well with Arsenal as far as every year making strides in Champions League and finishing second every year. Besides this one, we won the league this year. So I think that, like you said, in amongst the celebration and all that, when they're interviewing him, it seems like they took the long way out, where it takes time. They had to buy Usman off out. They had to make sure everything is okay with the board and all that. And then they didn't get control, I don't believe, until 2018 or 19 of Arsenal. So correct me if I'm wrong there, Ray or Tony, but it seemed like Arteta was like they got it all wrong. You just had to be patient with them. And nowadays, you don't see that. You don't ever see that nowadays, where you have a manager who is your former club captain being a manager, and then it takes a lot of guts to especially pick Arteta, who had hardly had any managerial experience. Wow. So they took a chance on him, but at the same time they understood the process because of their successes with the Rams, the Avalanche, etc. And Nuggets, right? So it takes time for these clubs to become what they are. They don't win overnight, and so they take that model and resonated it with Arsenal. And some fans didn't agree with that notion. So I applaud them on many levels because they brought in an experienced manager, from a co-captain, and they saw it through, and they learned on the fly as well on how to run the football club. They brought in the right people to do so, like Dick Garlick and Andrea Berta. I do help them get to where they are at now. But Berta he brought in what Arteta wanted, aka Berta wanted as well. So there's a lot of measuring sticks to go along with it, and I couldn't be happy about. I could be happy. I could be happy for them as well.
You can't forget the ones that used to be in jail that used to work for the team as well. Somebody that bought Pepe and pocketed a lot of money.
Again, Tony, that's part of a learning curve, right? And I'm sure they learned from that mistake. Which we all could agree on was caught us all by surprise. But again, it takes a lot of learning to get to where they want to be at, right? And so
the thing that changed is you finally hired a decent guy to be a sporting director. You finally got your sporting director. Then it changes. And it was still almost ruined because somebody has his pets and didn't like playing certain players like Norgard that could have gave not Jorginho, but basically Jorginho 2.0 could have gave Rice some rest. But instead, we did not play Norgard. Norgard played more minutes in the last game of the season than he did the entire league season.
I have a question that I'd like to ask everyone. I'd like to ask everyone on the panel and everyone in the chat box, because the season is finished now. Arsenal has finished their season. We know where the dominoes have fallen for the 2025-2026 season. So the question that I'd like to ask is this. Are you happy that Mikel Arteta is going to have his contract extended and will remain the Arsenal manager? Are you happy that Mikel Arteta is going to remain the manager? Yes or no? If yes, tell me why. If no, also tell me why. And I will start. Me, for one, I'm very happy that Mikel Arteta is retaining as the Arsenal manager. I think that we have a good steward of the ship. We have players that believe in him, players that are extending contracts because they believe in the mission. You only have to look at someone like Declan Rice saying that it's not done, and his Rice smile at getting to the final of the Champions League. He knows that there's more work to be done. The journey's not finished. So I, for one, am happy that Mikel Arteta is staying on board as the manager. I think where we are. It's the best move.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
upset the apple cart.
Here. I agree. Mikel Arteta finally used the squad correctly, albeit
No, he did
couple,
not use it correctly,
couple
Rick.
of players here and there,
When we do
albeit
that, Tony,
a couple of players here and there. He used it correctly. He got the trophy over the line. Yes, I'm disappointed in at least in the Carabao Cup final. I think we were outclassed in the Champions League final, but not disgraced. So yeah, happy. And the landscape looks good in England, as we mentioned, with some new managers taking the helm at our rival clubs. We should, in theory, have a advantage over the rest of the teams and get off to a great start into September, October. Alonso,
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's staying, Ray and Tony and Stan, because I think I look back on the period in which he got the club and he inherited in the bad shape that it was in. He took over a toxic environment, um, and we to be fair have criticized Arteta. Now that being said, I think he put us all wrong. I think he used a system and he stuck with it, and he won us the league. Any Arsenal fan would be proud of that and proud of him for doing so, because he is an ex-captain, and I admire that because he from the get-go has always understood the Arsenal way. Yeah, we got rid of some players that were no longer with us because he felt it didn't fit the mold that he's trying to create.
yeah,
That takes a lot of guts.
yeah,
And, I think the Conkeys believed in him, and he rewarded them with a trophy, with a Premier League winning trophy, and we finished first. And our fans are happy. They're happy. I'm happy. The players that are playing for him are happy. So, yeah, why not? I mean, he's a good guy. He means well. And like Stan said, he's the starter of the club, and he deserves it. I mean, after all the stuff he's taken beginning his managerial career, he deserves a raise, and he deserves to be here for years to come.
yeah, exactly. Tony,
Um, I, I, I'll, I'll start with you guys. Don't forget, 6 weeks ago, both of you were sitting on the 70 to 80% Arteta out.
not that far.
No, yeah, you were.
No,
We got it on record in April that stands 70%.
I said get
so
it over the
wait,
line.
you just
Give it the
changed. You said
Premier
80, and now you went to 70. You just said 80,
I,
now you went to 70.
I, I said 70 to 80. I did say 70, 80.
I did not.
Anyway,
I'm rewinding it. I clip it.
let's start. Let's go back a little bit. 18 months before Arteta was hired.
Have I ever said Arteta out?
Mm,
Have I? Have I ever said Arteta out?
he knows you've
And
not.
have I ever said Arteta in? Have I ever said either or? You know how I do my vote. You know I do percentages and the scales, and it can fluctuate, right? People say, "Oh, you're a flip flop." There's no such thing as a flip flop. As you get new information, your opinion changes. And there have been times when I've been up to around 70% in the scales where I'm not happy with what I'm seeing, but there's still maybe 30% that I am. And I said as well, where my scales are right now, let me tell you right now where my scales are. My scales right now are 99% to 1. 99%, I'm happy with the manager. I want him in. 1%, I want him out. You know why? You know why it's not 100? If we'd won the Champions League, it would be at 100. I'd have no problems. So it's 99 to 1. So that's how I do my voting. I'm never definitive. I never say Arteta in or Arteta out. because as the season goes
That's why
on,
I said 70 to 80%.
it changes. Right now, I'm 99-1, and you know what? That's good. Even when I leave Google reviews, I always leave I never leave a 5. They're never going to get better. The most I leave was a 4, 4.5. That means they're working to all. So I think that's fairly. I think I've been consistent.
But anyway, let's not forget 18 months before, Arteta refused the job because he wanted more say. And another reason that we always went with Arteta, guess what? He was a cheap fucking option. With
Sometimes
Santa's backup.
Yeah, but sometimes
but let's go to this season and the past 5 or 6 seasons. Our man management sucks. You run your players into the ground.
But Tony, if you're laying at 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th positions in the Premier League, you don't have the best squad. You do not have the best squad. You're not winning the Premier League. So you're going to do things like look what happened to Chelsea. They dropped out out of the top 4.
How many managers did Tottenham go through this season? Is that what you want? Is these knee-jerk reactions? How many? 3 managers in one season? One season.
Chelsea
Come on.
Come
on. I mean, listen. We have stuck with a program, right? Do you remember the phrase? It was trust the process. Trust meaning like it ain't happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
But why can't it?
In the last 22 years, the only person, the manager that's won us it is this guy. He said trust the process. And you know what? If trusting the process means that my team can be the best in England and the second best in Europe, I'm taking that, because now we only have one more step on that ladder to take, and that is being the best in Europe. We are right there, man. I'm telling you, I've supported this team for 47 years. This is it. This is right here. This is it now. We've not moved to another stadium, and it's like, we've got to do all that shit in the stadium, and Abramovich has come in, and now we're right there. We are right there on the bridge.
We are not an invincible side right now, but we are the next best thing to that invincible side right now. You know what I mean?
Football's played differently.
Nope.
What I want to see from Mikel Arteta and Andre Berta this summer is a tweaking and a modification of the side to where we can now attack fluently as well as defend efficiently.
You're not gonna see it. You're gonna see this boring to watch football that has no tempo at all.
Tony, just because we did that this season doesn't mean that we can't evolve.
We've done it for 3 or 4 seasons, right? It hasn't changed.
To win the Premier League, we've done it to win the Premier League.
And continuing where I was, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if these numbers mean anything to you. 10-8 and 1-2.
What?
10-8 and 1-2.
10-8, 1-2.
And one of them is your second favorite team. You had Chelsea finish 10th, Liverpool finish 8th, and the next season they finished 1-2.
Okay, so it can be turned around, right?
Yeah, it can be turned around. You don't have to have this process. And my number one problem with what happened this year is Berta goes the extra mile to get all the tools for Arteta. But Arteta's like, I like this old rusty hoe.
Well, you're still going on about Norgard. Will you get over Norgard?
I like this struggle.
It's not the system, it's the players. The players miss chances. We need players that are better at taking their chances and better decision making. And in the final 3, there's a problem. And if Saka is not playing at his best, we suffer. Saka needs to raise his levels to Salah levels. That's
But
where he
listen,
needs to be.
yeah,
He needs to be Salah level.
we
Right?
will not have another season.
Hold on. We're paying him Salah money. He's getting the money, right? It's on 300 bags a week now. Yeah. So now he has to do it. And it's the same on the left and it's the same through the middle. That's where we are lacking. That is where we are lacking. Everything else in this team is very good. We've just got this one bit that is missing. And if we can fix that bit, as I said to you, right, you know, we've talked about Odegaard, but it's not like, as I say, as bad as you make people say Odegaard has been playing, how many times has he been in scoring opportunities and he's either fluffed his shot or made a pass when he should have shot? He's not scored the goal. That's him. That's not the manager. That's him. He's, you know, look at Martinelli. He runs down into fucking cul-de-sacs a lot. It doesn't look up.
I think he's been better this season, but not in the Premier League.
Trossard fades from games. He's not consistent. He's a technical, talented player. He doesn't have a consistency. He fades. Gyökeres, the first player that scored 21 goals in all competitions since Mikel Arteta has been at the helm. But we can see that the ball doesn't stick to him sometimes. We've seen him miss shots. We've seen him go down when he shouldn't. Havertz, injury prone, can score really great technical goals like the one that he scored in the Champions League, but misses some other opportunities. He does. Even if he was a penalty taker, we've seen him miss penalties. Right?
Yeah.
Jesus finished. Jesus is finished at this level, right? So we know where we need to improve. Right? For me, Saka's got another season. But Saka, if we're saying that it's because Saka's been injured and not getting any rest, how's he going to get better for next season? He's going to a World fucking Cup. So it's a big season for Saka. If Saka doesn't do it next season, what do we do with him? We all love him. He's one of our own. He's come through the academy. He is the star boy. He's on the biggest money. But if he has another season next season like this season...
You can't think about that.
No, that's not good enough. So that's the areas that we need to improve if we are now going to get to the next thing. And the next thing is retaining titles and winning in Europe. That's the objective.
Yeah. We got to the positions.
It's no good coming second next season and getting to a Champions League final and losing that, because that is a regression. That's regression.
That may happen. That may happen, Stan. But we're still going to be a good team. How we won the Premier League this season and how we got to 2 cup finals this season is because we played on the back of percentages and fine margins and off the back of a very, very world-class, outstanding defense and goalkeeper. I think what Stan is saying and what Alonso agrees to, Tony maybe definitely agrees to, is Arsenal need to go out and fortify and move on those players that Stan just mentioned in some cases, move them on and bring in better players on top of that.
There's nothing wrong with being ruthless.
No.
There's nothing wrong. And I know that we all have our favourites, right? But there is nothing wrong with selling a player if they're going to be replaced with something that's better. If you can't replace the player with something that's better, don't sell them. Don't. So, if we stick by that rule of thumb, we can only get better, right? I don't mind selling one of Martinelli or Trossard if it means that someone else is coming in that's going to be better on that left-hand side.
No, what we can say is that they leave us as a Premier League winner. They leave us as a Premier League winner.
But what's bad though, Stan, is that there isn't that many good left wingers out there.
There is. I think so. I'm trying to find them.
Groupie. Stephen, thank you for being here. I have to go get up at 4 a.m. to go to work. All right, so there's a couple of we're going to get out of here in the next 10 minutes or so, but the captaincy was a flare-up point earlier in the podcast, so let's see if we can revisit
We'll get out in 10 minutes, right? We kind of talked about the game and that, but the support of. It's a couple of things that before we go that we should talk about the celebrations,
Yes.
but also as
Great.
well, you know, that the hatred towards Arsenal. I mean, you know, Jason Cundy took a lot of flack. Him and Abunglahor, they're wearing PSG, the mask. My opinion on that is like this, right? When Jason Cundy was coming into Talk Sport wearing the Ange mask and the clown outfits and was clowning his co-host Jamie O'Hara about Tottenham's, you know, misgivings and almost getting relegated and stuff, we all laughed. I was talking to friends of mine in the United States from Canada. I was saying, "Are you listening to this? This is brilliant. It's so funny." That's where they are as a station. That's what it is, right? That's what it is. So if he wants to come in a PSG shirt and wear Arteta mask when we lose and all of that sort of stuff, right? For me, I'm like, we laughed when it was about Ange Postecoglou. That's what it is, yeah. Don't be so touchy. Don't be so touchy.
Yeah.
We all know as Arsenal fans how proud we are of the team. Don't be so touchy. It is what it is. Because I fucking pissed myself when he was ripping O'Hara. I was avidly watching. I thought it was some of the funniest shit. And I was thinking, any minute now, O'Hara's going to smack him. That's how pissed off he looked. And I was laughing. It was great entertainment. I used to listen to it on my way home from work. So if he's going to do it against Arsenal, I'm like, okay, I might not like it, but I can't say nothing. It is what it is, right? And when you see things like Chelsea putting out stuff like, if you want to see, you know, trophies in Europe, come down here. Even clubs, it's all done differently now. It's social media. Clubs wouldn't do that years ago. Now clubs are thinking, this is what the support base wants. They want banter. We're going to do it. Look at Domino's Pizzas when they do their jokes when things happen. We can deliver. You know what I mean? They do that. Yeah. This is where we are now. This is the world. I don't like it. I don't like to see my team being taken the piss out of. But I have to accept it because when it happens to other teams, I laugh my head off.
And Stan, that's the perfect point. That's why you have all these pundits and stuff do this. I remember 2014, 2015, up to 2016, reading stuff on Bleacher's Report and just hearing how toxic of a fan base Arsenal had. Then I finally start getting on Twitter a lot and reading all that. Then I'm like, yeah, that's fucking why, because we are horrible on social media. So you can get a huge reaction. So yeah, you're to poke fun, you're to do that to spark this stuff because it's easy to do. You're not get the reactions. That's what you want.
Look at Talk Sport, right? Adrian Durham used to do the drive show before Goldstein and I think it's Darren Bent, right? And he used to do that thing, the Daily Arsenal. The Daily Arsenal. Not the Daily Liverpool, not the Daily Man United or Man City or Watford, whoever. The Daily Arsenal. That's where we are as a team. You just got to accept it. I accept it. No one likes us, we don't care. It's not going to stop me supporting Arsenal. If we weren't worth talking about, then they wouldn't talk about us. And look at what Simon Jordan the other day. There's a big thing now. Simon Jordan was talking about fan channel. He went in at Troops, Robbie, blah blah blah. And I might not even personally listen to some of those channels, but it's like listening to the news, right? It's not just about getting the news. It's about who is delivering the message. So if you like the person that delivers the message, you're going to listen to their news on the BBC rather than the news on the ITV, because you might like Trevor McDonald and you might not like Hugh Edwards or whatever. And it's the same with Arsenal podcasts. There are a lot of Arsenal podcasts that I don't listen to. I just don't like the messengers. But I don't want them to go away. I don't want those channels to go away because there's a lot of Arsenal people that want to listen to that.
Yeah.
So but the thing about Simon Jordan, right, which was so ironic, he's going on about YouTubers, and he names Troops and AFTV in particular, and they've got people like Rory Jennings as an employee of Talk Sport. Rory Jennings, he's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know, Simon Jordan probably walks down the hallway and has to walk past Rory Jennings and say good morning or good afternoon.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. This is just the way of the world, man. And I'm not even
Yeah.
a Rory Jennings fan, but I'm just saying that these YouTubers now, whatever you want to call them, the really successful ones, they're part of the conversation. And
Yeah.
there's some that I like.
Sean,
There's some that I like, and there's some that I don't like. And do you know what I do? I just don't really listen to the ones that I don't like. I don't listen to
yeah.
them regularly. I just don't.
As
So
Sean said,
you make a choice.
make your choice exactly, but also have confidence that your team, you know your team, and you know what the truth is out there, and you can't get bantered if you have confidence in your team and what they're doing out there.
I've watched some
Sean,
fan channels, right? Even after we've won the league, and some of what they're talking about, I'm just like, I know that I'm kind of in that space, right? I'm in this space as well. But I've been
uh,
watching some podcasts, and I've just been like, fuck, is this all you've got to talk about after 22 years of not winning the league? And I'm not going to name names or whatever. And I kind of thought to myself, I don't want to be stamped with some of that bullshit. And I like coming on here because you have a small community. You know, we all have our opinions, but I don't think that we go really overboard, and I don't think that we're toxically positive. I think that everyone is entitled to have
yeah,
their view. But, you know, as I say, it's like listening to the news. The news is always the news, but who's delivering the message? You listen to this guy because you like his. You don't, and that's what you got to do when it comes to social media and Arsenal podcasts. Listen to the ones that you like. Don't listen to the ones that you don't like. There's a lot of
exactly.
choice.
As Sean
And
said here,
it
why do
doesn't
we
make
listen to former
it
players
any
and
better,
pundits?
any worse, depending on that choice. It just means it's your preference.
Yeah. Why do we listen to former players and pundits like a Bonlar who've done absolutely nothing in the game? Let them banter. Doesn't change the fact that we are champions of England. You know, I'm very close to being champions of Europe as well. So the and the other thing as well is Sean said they couldn't get banter for us for getting absolutely destroyed by PSG, which didn't happen. They all expected us to get slapped up, and they couldn't swallow that we barely lost on penalties. You know, and there's nothing wrong with an underdog attempting to win a trophy. So Arsenal, even though I said 25% possession, that still happens. Arsenal won the FA Cup against Manchester United in 2005, and we went to penalties. We didn't have a shot on goal or something like that. We had to play five midfielders. Thierry Henry was injured. Arsene Wenger delivered the FA Cup on penalties, beating Manchester United. It's still a trophy in our cabinet that we value,
When
and
when those PSG players were standing there taking their penalty with their arms all on each other's shoulders, let me tell you now, they were shitting their fucking pants because they were the Champions League holders, and at any minute that could have slipped out of their hands. They weren't
yeah,
taking it for granted, and it was Arsenal that managed to push them all that way. Now you don't get anything for that. You don't get a trophy for pushing someone all the way, but we've got a platform to build on. And as I've said,
yeah.
every year in the Champions League under Mikel Arteta, we've gone to the next bit. He's got us to
And
a final. He's got. If he's going to like cap it, now get us to win it. Because you remember
it's
how we got
supposed to
there as
be,
well.
right?
We didn't lose a game getting to the final. We are contenders,
Alonso,
big contenders.
we don't have to listen to that crap Europa League music, Alonso. We're in the Champions League, and that's the
Fuck
place that we need.
Thursdays.
Dun, 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 dun.
Fuck Thursdays, except when we have a podcast on Thursdays. You know, where we talk about Arsenal playing Tuesday or Wednesday. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
the
and
Champions
then
League, we've loved the Champions League run the last 2 or 3 seasons. Let there be many, many more of them next season, and you know it's good. The coverage of the Champions League is pretty good. All right, Stan had his piece about the fans out there. Alonso, captaincy of Arsenal. Let's just flare up for a few minutes here, and we'll say goodbye to everybody. We'll probably take a sabbatical for a couple of weeks and come back after the fixture lists are released on the 19th of June. So next podcast may be toward the end of
We
the month.
play everybody twice, right?
Huh?
Right.
All right, you're not invited. You're not getting the link. Play everybody twice. It's not just that. It's when you play them, right, Alonso?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait till the official list comes out.
So later this month, we're going to take a couple of weeks. We're going to rest, relax, enjoy the summer. We'll come back later in the month for the fixture list, and maybe there's some going to be transfer dealings, World Cup stuff happening. But as the seasons come to an end, we will take less and less time from your lives in the summer.
Can I just say as
Alonso,
well, a big.
yeah,
Can I just say as well? I want to say a big thank you to. We have a very small community here on Arsenal Fan Circle. We try to be as consistent as we can with the Thursday shows, and also a lot of time on the Sunday shows. And this is the 8th season now, the end of the 8th season that Ray has been doing this. He originally started off with Mahia. I've been doing this with Ray now for 7 seasons. And I just want to
yeah.
say a big thank you to everyone that comes in. You know, our regular panel guests, people like Tony, Alonso, Gary, you know, the people that we've had throughout the season. Lawrence has been in there, a few others. You know,
Yeah.
Rohan has popped
Honorable
in
mention.
but also to all you guys that come into the chat on a regular basis. It's a small community. BX is always working the door. Thank you to BX.
Yeah.
Sean, who's been coming in a little bit towards the end of the season, he now seems to be a regular. Stephen, the Arsenal misfit. Gary, you know, all the usual suspects.
Yeah.
Mr. Tom, who's popped in along the way. Tiger and Guna, Riddy, you know, Noe. I'm sure that I'm missing out a few names, but basically, I just want to say thank you to everyone that pops in and listens to our rambles about Arsenal, and we'll be back next season. You know, maybe there'll be some
So
content during the World Cup. I won't be here. I don't really care about the
Joe,
World Cup,
Joe,
but
Joe Madeira was in as well. Um, just to add a few names to what you were saying there. So yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah, we'll do a podcast later in the month when the fixture lists come out, and in preparation for the new season. Now, Alonso, captaincy, Odegaard.
Right.
Who's a better captain that could be nominated?
This year, it's probably Rice. We've seen Megalegs get the captain's armband at a couple games here and there, and Saka as well. But look, it's who's healthy. We know that Declan Rice has been captain West Ham whenever Tom Nolan left. So he's had a lot of experience there. I don't necessarily think it's a British thing, Tony. I just think that Rice is a better captain. He communicates very well for himself. Saka is, I think, the star boy, the academy kid going to come up, and maybe that's been there for a while. So I think all those three are very good vice captains. But if Udegaard for some reason is no longer captain, my pick is Rice because he's a good captain. He just is a good captain, Tony. Um, I think Gabriel has been there the longest, or at least one of the people who has been there the longest. So he does deserve a shout as is Saka. But ultimately, I think Rice is a better captain than Udegaard at this time.
Yeah, and Sean said would love to join sometime. So, like in a future podcast, maybe later this month, we'll drop the link in here. You can grab the link and join.
And this is what.
can I,
Sorry.
can I just say on that captain thing? I mean, I think the majority of people really like the idea of Rice being the captain, but from what I've seen, depending on who's on the pitch and how the armband gets moved around, the pecking order seems to be Odegaard, Saka, Gabriel Megalegs, Rice.
Nice. Yeah,
I seem to be there seems to be 4, and depending on who leaves and who's around, that's what I've noticed. And Rice is not he's not up there. So even if we sold Odegaard, let's say, for example, then you know you're looking at Saka.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
I know that a lot of people like Rice and think he has those captain qualities, but you know, and maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that in the dressing room and behind the scenes that he's not vocal, but on the pitch, the armband, that seems to be the order of the armband.
Okay. Yeah, I just think he's really good with the media as well, and he's always going to be in the team. So those are kind of the requirements of a captain. Although we did talk to Gary about this a little while ago. Maybe last season or whatever. The the club captain doesn't always have to be on the team. What was that? West Ham. There was a West Ham captain who was um, who taught
Noble.
Noble. Yeah, he taught
Mark
Declan
Noble.
Rice quite a bit. He didn't always make it onto the field, Mark Noble, but he
Yeah,
was
but that
club
was because of
captain.
age. If you're
Yeah,
getting a bit older, you know what I'm getting at. Still at the club,
but they
you're not going
didn't
to
feel
play
like
every
they
time.
needed to move him out of the captaincy. You know what I mean? Which Odegaard could be out of the team and still club captain. You know what I mean? Doing all the media duty stuff. But Tony's not taking the bait. I see on this one. Captaincy Odegaard. Tony likes Gabriel as the captain. I would think. Right,
Yep.
Tony?
Yep. I really don't think Odegaard should
Look,
be there.
Do we
Next,
care? Do we care that Gabriel polarizes the rival fans? Like he's probably very much disliked by rival fans. Gabriel
I'll put it
Megalev.
this way with Gabriel, right? There's been plenty of players on other teams that when we play that team, we really hate that player,
Yeah,
but we know what they're worth. We might have hated that player, but if there was an opportunity to sign them, we would. It's like that old saying, you've got that one guy in the gang who's a
yeah,
bit of a nightmare. You go out drinking, he gets a bit drunk, he fucks around, could be a bit of trouble, but you all love
yeah,
him. And you have that saying that you say, Dave, he may be a bit of a cunt, but he's our cunt.
yeah.
And I think Gabriel was a little bit like that. And what I like about Gabriel is that when he first came to us, do you remember some of the red cards he would get? He would
Yeah.
he would he would put himself on the line, but he would cross the line and then he would get sent off, and that would cost us. Now we don't have 11 players on the pitch, or he would make. And I think that when you think
could be.
about under Mikel Arteta, who has been some of the most players that have improved under the manager. They were at
Mhm.
one place, and then under that manager, I think Gabriel at Arsenal,
And
he has
Saliba.
improved as a player.
Yeah,
He really has improved. And I know that for a lot of the time when it came to Saliba and Megalegs, a lot of people really favoured Saliba. Saliba was, what do they call him? The Rolls Royce.
yeah,
For me, I think,
yeah.
me personally, I'm a Gabriel Megalegs fan. I think that he is the one in the centre of our defence. He is the
All right.
heart. He is the heart, and I think that he's one of the most improved players under Mikel
Dude,
Arteta. How many times has he done something where he's maybe done something that's let us down, and it's cost a goal or something like that, and in the
But
same game he's made up for it by
Bournemouth
scoring a
away,
goal.
Bournemouth away from home. That happened when he came back
That's what I
from
like about his
injury.
attitude. If he does
He's
something
got
and he
that never
fucks
say
up,
die. Yeah,
but if he does something and fucks up, he doesn't shrink into his shell and
he
carry it
owns it.
with him.
Yeah,
His mindset is, I'm going to go and claw that back somehow. And for a central
that's
defender
leadership.
to do that and score
Yeah,
a goal, I love him. I really like that
leadership.
guy.
Leadership qualities. So Sean's put in a couple of players, Stan, Tony, Alonso, that we would dislike, but maybe want on the team. Cherky, Gamaraj, and Bruno Fernandes. Stan, would
Mhm.
you take Bruno Fernandes at Arsenal?
Again, that would be like a Danny Welbeck buy. I wouldn't be happy with it, but if he can do the business, I told you when I found out we were buying Danny Welbeck, I was pissed right off.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I'm at the stage now where if I hear his name, I want to know what he's doing. I take an interest
yeah.
because when he played in an Arsenal shirt, he wasn't just like wearing a toweling dressing gown and slippers and come to the retirement. He came to play, and he did his best for us. I mean, that season when Leicester won the championship. Do you remember when we thought it was almost we could still win it when he scored that header at the end of the game against Leicester?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Danny Welbeck. I
He's
mean,
alive with
so
that.
you know, I might
Um,
not want to sign the player, but if they can do the business, and
oh,
funny,
so
just before I end, I feel like that about Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has won me over.
Yeah. All right. So
Goal,
let me,
that goal in the Champions League final in 6 minutes, he finally really won me over.
let me be fair then, Stan. I'll give you a
Appreciate
choice between Turkey, Gummy Bears, or Bruno Fernandes. Who would you take at Arsenal? Of those
As a
three.
player,
Yeah.
probably Turkey.
Oh, okay. I didn't think you'd go that way.
That's
Alonso.
what we're missing. We're missing that kind of maverick player that can
Right.
do
Well,
things.
Bruno
out of nothing.
Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, that it would give you more, I think. I'd pick
Yeah, but
Bruno.
he's not. Okay.
What Bruno?
Could you imagine him in the number 10 position at Arsenal? Bruno Fernandes? Come on. Alonso, Turkey, Guimaraes, or Bruno Fernandes?
Turkey. I think
All
he
right.
offers just more. I think that he's more creative. I think Bruno Fernandez is like a one-hit wonder.
Just be honest, Alonso. I didn't say it. Let's say it now. We just don't fucking like him.
Yeah,
I don't
can't
like
stand
him.
him. I just can't stand him.
Yeah.
He just I don't know. I think his stats are overrated. I think I don't know.
Well,
He's a prick.
Turkey.
bitch.
No,
Yeah.
Fernandez.
Oh, Fernandes, yeah.
Bitch.
I
don't
know,
like him.
but if he puts on the Arsenal shirt, he'd feel different
He's
about
talented,
it. Right?
but I don't like him. If we bought Fernandez, he'd really have to fucking win me over, man, big time. He would you know what I'm saying? He'd be in the
Well,
principal's office every week.
I think
Every
he could
week.
do it. He's been pretty good. Tony, Gummy Bears, Bruno Fernandes, or Turkey?
We already fucked up for not getting gummy bears for the low 30 millions. The team said that it could upset the project. The team's goal that year was to finish sixth. We could have finished fourth, got in the Champions League, but fuck all that. And do you know what car
Do you know
Gabrielle is?
Do I know what car?
Gabrielle is?
Oh, BMW.
Nope. You see this? If you watch any car show, what do they have come out and haul all the other cars away? What do they use as a photographing car?
Toyota Camry.
It's always Land Rovers.
Hyundai.
They're dependable.
A Camry. A Camry.
A Morris Minor.
Is it a Prius? Is it a Robin Reliant?
It's a Toyota Camry.
Toyota Camry.
It's
All
right. Land Rover.
Hey, it's been a fun season.
Well, what about a Ford Pinto?
All right. I've got to go.
All right, it's been a fun season, Stan, Alonso, Tony, Gary, Rohan, Tom, all those people who've been on the show. It's been a fun season. Lawrence,
Sam,
horizontal and vertical, Lawrence. Yeah, let's do this again next season and maybe add one more.
Colonel Fistbuster, rest in peace.
Listen, Ray, if you want to do this next season, those checks need to clear. So it's up to you, mate.
The blue M&Ms are a little bit more expensive.
Checks still haven't cleared. So
the blue bills.
I'm just telling you what my accountant has told me. The checks from Arsenal fan circles still haven't cleared.
Are they blue M&Ms or are they blue pills? Is it blue M&Ms?
Blue M&Ms. Yeah, they're coming through. They're coming through. Checks ain't clear enough. So.
All right.
Alonso's like checks.
I'll have my people talk to your people. Is that how it
goes? You gotta hurry it up.
Every season, Stan, you're gonna have to tell your missus she's contractually obliged to at least once in the season tell Tony What you got to tell Tony?
Oh,
That Saliba,
But as a cross,
Saliba was always going to play
Saliba,
for
No, he wasn't.
always
yeah.
Saliba, Tony.
Well,
Right.
he went that.
Out of
Listen
here,
to a
Stan.
player's own words.
Cheers. We'll close. We'll take it from here, Stan.
See, pal.
See you later, everyone.
Let's see, pal. Alonso has put in a full shift today. A full 90 from you, Alonso.
Can't hear you now.
This one, my sixth year on the Arsenal fan circle. It's been thanks Ray for having me on. It's been a fun year. Despite what Tony says that our setbacks about what happened 4 years ago.
Our fullback.
It's been still a pretty fun ride.
Yes.
To for everyone talking about the league and all that stuff, it's been quite the ride. It really has. Because when I first started on the podcast, we finished eighth. So it kind of says a lot about our fan base here on the Arsenal fan circle. And for every person that's for Arsenal, someone always has to say something bad about Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on, Ray. Sometimes I can't make it because of work. But
yeah, Alonso, when we were in eighth place, they felt like a lot of therapy sessions, you know.
oh, yeah.
Well, he felt better afterwards. We recognize now. Now we know what a winning team looks like. Now we know what winning the Premier League looks like and how good the team has to be to do that. You know, it's going to be hard. It is going to be what it's going to be. We're not always going to be at the top, but let's try and stay at the top um, as long as possible. And this, I talked about the window starting. You know, the window of success, the window of bringing trophies, and has it been 2 or 3 seasons already where that window we missed a couple of opportunities? I hope not. I hope we can continually reinvest in the team. So Josh Kroenke, Mikel Arteta, and the other guy, Andrea Berta. We'll be watching the work that you're going to be doing, um, analyzing the incomings and outgoings, and maybe we can break the transfer out, the value out this season, this summer. Maybe we can get something more north of 50 or 45 million this season. Tony,
Yes.
say something inspirational and say something nice about your co-host on the panel.
Uh,
know it's
the
tough.
thing that's stuck on my mind is how Stan was talking about all these pundits and you have all this negativity. Do you know how much nice and more peaceful my life has been that I don't watch any other podcast?
Yeah,
I don't comment on Twitter anymore. I
yeah,
just basically message you guys
yeah,
because all that stuff it gets to you, it wears you down,
yeah.
and it's a lot easier just spending time with your buddies, and that's what we've
There
done
you
with
go. Yeah,
our very motley brotherhood that we have here.
yeah. And it's always interesting, even when I ask you a question, I don't know what's going to come out of your mouth at times. So it's always been very entertaining and informative as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you don't tend. Kudos to you, Tony. You have your own mind, and you don't tend to go with the flow all the time either. So I have to respect that. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, that's why we come here. We come here to share our opinions. We don't always have to agree,
Yeah,
and and that's what it is. It's your opinion, whether you're wrong or right.
yeah,
It's hard to say because it is based on your opinion. It's what you
yeah,
value and stuff, and that's kind of what captaincy and stuff comes down to. To me, I want a captain that shows it all out on the field,
Yeah.
and I think Gabriel does that. Again,
Yeah.
I like seeing him being the happiest one. Being in Salhurst Park, Ray, if Ray remembers his fucking anagram or
It's
not.
a beautiful, but it's a beautiful symmetry for this podcast when we did those.
I but the part of you wish that City did not drop the points on Tuesday and it actually came down to us winning at Salhurst Park.
For me, the trophy was lifted at Selhurst Park, so that's good enough for me. You know, any point where Selhurst Park was going to be involved, given that we had that history of the anagram during the lockdown, um, shows, and yeah, it was just something we always had. Selhurst Park, you know what I mean? It made it fun, you know. So
And, and I still have a notebook and a page it's written on.
so Alonso, next season we're going to win the league again, and we're going to be able to celebrate it at the Emirates
Are
with
you going back to a Menudo notebook? Right?
in real time, Alonso.
Yeah, I think that it's
That's
just the way it
really
works
much.
out. I think that thankfully we won the league closer, or at least in London. And, I think a lot of credit also goes to the Palace fans as well, because they knew what was going to happen. They knew what was going to happen on that day. So
Yeah,
I think Crystal Palace fans deserve a lot of credit,
sure.
to let Arsenal fans celebrate at Selhurst Park. It's not always easy.
Well, we were very respectful about it, weren't we, Alonso? We
Yeah.
allowed a lot of time. Us Arsenal fans waited and wanted to see that trophy lift, but Mikel Arteta, the management team, and the class that is Arsenal.
But but
Well,
but but why it
this
took
is their
30
last
minutes,
home
right?
Not,
game.
not really talking. Not
This is
really.
their last home game, and let them respect that. Tony, go ahead.
But
Thank
but,
you.
but it boiled down to Arsenal were always had to change kits, so that's
There
why
was
they
what?
had. But
Arsenal
they,
was what?
they were to change kits to the kits they changed to after the game,
Sure, but
and
changing
uh,
kits takes 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
you have to take a shower,
Yeah, they probably took a shower because Crystal Palace were doing their lap of honor with their fans. So their fans were respectful to us, and I feel like we were respectful to them, allowing them to. And I think that's something, Alonso and Tony. I think that's something that Mikel Arteta doesn't get enough credit for, because he
Mm.
has the presence of mind to say, "This is Crystal Palace's moment. It's their last game." Or the class that we have as a club, I believe, shone through there because this was their moment, this was their game, and we're going to wait till they're done, and then we'll have our celebrations. And the celebrations didn't impact our performance on the Champions League as well. And listen, I was really I enjoyed the opening of the Champions League as well with the Killers. They did like a 6 or 7 minute montage. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the build up to the game. Um, we scored a great goal through Kai Havertz, but it wasn't to be at the end of the day. And maybe we'll grab one in the next couple of seasons, Alonso, because usually if you lose one, you come back 2 or 3 seasons later and you win it.
Mhm.
It's it's happened with Chelsea, it's happened with Bayern Munich, it's happened with Man City.
Mhm.
So it should hopefully it happens with us. And as many have said, we're not coming to the end of a cycle like we were in 2006, but we are starting a cycle. And we started a cycle with the Champions League
Yeah, but
appearance.
but what would have been if we won in 2006?
What would it have been?
More money.
Yeah,
Well, it would have been the first one, the best one with that team. Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp.
Does that give you enough money to have enough backups for when Eduardo went out?
Yeah,
You don't have a
We
good
don't know
backup.
that.
it's about the
We
trophy.
don't know that.
It's the first thing is it's about the trophy. You know what I mean?
The thing is, with Eduardo, that was a freak injury.
Yeah, and that
And
was what 4 or 5
Okay.
years. That was 2 seasons later.
yeah,
Eduardo hadn't even come to the
you
club.
can't predict.
No,
You can't predict that,
It's
right?
quite a loose connection right there. It's like
And you also had
no,
You also had Eddie Villar as well.
Adebayor. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't get that. And then you have Evan Van Persie as well.
didn't have an effect. No, didn't have an effect.
I was talking about the squad, not just
That's what I
players.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, that 2006, the team was breaking up. It was already starting to break up at that point in time, um, because of the move to the Emirates as much as anything.
Yeah, because then you
And,
lost at that point. You lost Ashley Cole. You lost Sol Campbell. You lost
Had to
Roberto
pay,
Silva.
had to pay for the stadium, which I think he told me last Thursday is not completely paid off yet.
it
But there we
is
go.
not, and I'm sure they'll borrow money against that money to do whatever
Upgrade,
additions to the
yes.
stadiums they decide to
And
do.
they're probably going to build up, right? I would imagine they'd build up in sections, one stand at a time. You know,
You think I'll do that, or do you think I'll do what like they've done in Madrid?
why? So you mean
Yeah,
they said that there's too much going on to be able. They won't be able to dig down. There's too much
amazing.
infrastructure underneath. You know what I mean? Piping and all that stuff. So the easiest thing will be to go build up. You know what I mean? And look at where.
Build up, or you just build around it and tear down some of the stuff you don't need.
I'm sure there's ways and means to do it. I know Arsene Wenger, it was his baby, but they never anticipated getting more than
And
62,000.
and if you listen to Josh, it's about increasing the square feet. It's not about increasing the capacity of a stadium, which you know what that means, right?
What?
We had this problem in the United States. Let's put box offices in there because you got all these suites that you can get a lot more money in, and they can be empty because maybe the companies doesn't
Corporate?
want to bring people in that week.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
but
can't
you have
imagine.
these you have these large corporations that rent
Can't
those
imagine.
out.
Yeah, I can't imagine that would be the case. That they wouldn't be able to sell them. Arsenal have maybe 30 games in a season if you include Champions League and um, league and cup games. You know what I mean? I can't imagine that would be the case. Okay, so we're going to sign off here, Alonso. We'll say goodbye for you. It's going to be roughly a little bit over 2 weeks. Tomorrow, 2 weeks tomorrow will be the fixture list are announced on the 19th. So I probably would pencil us in for Thursday, the 25th of June, to talk about the fixture list. And we'll be into a World Cup at that point as well, Tony.
I hate the fucking new 48 team
And
format.
9.5 weeks till the Community Shield starts. So really, the time will go. Nobody, my wife won't want anybody want me to say this, but the summer will go by pretty quickly. 9.5 weeks till the Community Shield, Alonso.
Hmm.
Anyway, we'll get out of here. Thank you for a great season, Arsenal, and for all of you podcasters out there. Gary doing his own thing over there as well, and Gary who has joined us at times. It's been good. Alonso, thanks for joining tonight. take care, mate, pal. See you, pal.
Super.
Tony, see you, pal. And to all of you out there watching, see you later in a few weeks. Take care.
Comrade Tonsky.
Comrade Tonsky says, good night. Gute Nacht und Ihawa. Come on, you Gooners.